In the city of Bongguang, with its 300,000 inhabitants, the law of the jungle reigns supreme. Rocking tattoos and gold chains, the big shots show everyone who's boss around here. Here fists speak way louder than any law. It's a true paradise for hot-blooded fighters. Because of the mountains of goons left in its wake, the place earned quite a reputation. Soon people nicknamed this heckhole Demon City. But in the middle of this whole mess, there's one untouchable guy. With a firm step on the asphalt, the legend begins to move. Walking alone through the night, that man just oozes danger. With slick back hair and a simple school uniform, his swagger is off the charts. Spitting on the ground like a true savage, the kid doesn't care about a thing. Face to face with the rival gang, the tension gets thick. Holding a cigarette between his fingers, the guy's calmness is almost scary. With a quick flick, the butt flies far away. Spinning in the air, the cigarette marks the beginning of the beatdown. Foaming at the mouth with rage, the leader in the suit completely loses his patience. With his blood boiling, the order to attack is already in his eyes. Yelling, the boss orders the entire gang to crush the kid. But in a brutal advance, the student closes the distance in the blink of an eye. Totally in shock, the chubby guy with glasses doesn't even know what hit him. With the very first blow, the henchman kisses the pavement, shattering the concrete. Clenching his fist tightly, pure violence takes over. Faced with this destruction, the entire crew freezes in place. At 17 years old, the kid casually strolls among the big guys. Landing a clean punch to the enemy's face, a tooth goes flying. With the force of the impact, the guys are launched into the air like dolls. Standing almost 2 meters tall, the boot to the face connects, tearing through. While dodging a knife stab, the counter-attack pierces the defense without mercy. Sweeping the crowd all at once, the blow clears everyone out of the way. Under the weight of 110 kilos, the sole of his shoe comes down to crush. Stomping on the fallen enemy, a crater opens up in the ground from the impact. With no chance to defend, the goon's body sinks into the concrete. With the violent thud, the victim even bounces on the asphalt. Grinding his teeth, another tough guy decides to try his luck. Wielding a piece of wood, the big guy thinks he finally has the upper hand. As he readies the swing, his opponent's fighting record speaks for itself. Against the student's iron block, the wood splinters into pieces. With 212 consecutive wins, the uppercut rises, destroying everything. Undefeated in life, the opponent bleeds, not understanding where the hit came from. From behind the shadows, the protagonist's gaze radiates a killer aura. Witnesses to these fights swear the man is a monster who loses to no one. Looking like a giant titan, his shadow completely swallows the boss in glasses. In reality, it was far from a fair fight, turning into a one-sided demolition. Dominating the battlefield overwhelmingly, bodies fly from one side to the other. To finish the game, a direct punch flattens the last poor guy's face. Sowing pure violence, the pile of defeated foes only grows. In a final calm step, the victor approaches the one who ordered the attack. Grabbing the suit by the collar, terror finally comes knocking. With an aggressive pull, the chubby guy is lifted off the ground as if he weighs nothing. Desperate, the boss realizes the exact magnitude of the mistake he made. Reflected in the lens of his glasses, the figure is revealed to be the supreme force of Demon City. Crowned as the Demon King, he walks away, leaving chaos scattered behind him. Dragging the enemy leader on the ground, the gang's morale turns to dust. Behind a sadistic smile, the dreaded name Ma Seok-ho is revealed. From that fateful day on, the entire city bowed its head to the monster. Besides sweeping his own generation, his dominance took down veterans and newbies alike. Creating his own relentless empire, this was the origin of the legend. Behind the wheel of the sports car, the king felt he had the world in the palm of his hand. Slicing through the road at night, the red lights tear through the darkness at high speed. Far away on a quiet bus, a boy listening to the story on his phone says he can't believe it. On the other end of the line, his friend swears the story of the demonic school is real, and the boy sarcastically asks where this so-called king is now. Looking at his phone, the new kid dryly replies that the legend is already gone. Rumor has it he hit the guardrail while speeding in his luxury car, and it exploded. Laughing, our protag asks if his buddy called just to talk nonsense. Genuinely worried, the friend insists it's not a joke as the kid presses the bus's stop button. Not getting the logic, his friend questions why on earth the new kid decided to transfer right into the epicenter of Demon City. Hitting a raw nerve, the voice on the phone asks if the move has to do with that incident from the past. Immediately, our protag's face darkens, and he falls completely silent. To cut the conversation short, the boy says the stories about the city are just internet rumors. Walking alone on the deserted road, he says he just arrived and will be living at his uncle's house. After hearing a taunt about getting mugged on the street, the kid keeps walking, paying it no mind. Having lost his patience with the conversation, the call is ended right then and there. Putting the phone in his pocket, the boy grumbles indignantly about all this annoying talk of muggings. Right in front of him, a scratched-up sign ironically presents the main intersection of his new neighborhood. Staring into the darkness of the violent city of Bongguang, our protag's final decree is that his friend is full of it. Suddenly, a loud horn shatters the silence of the dark road. Soon 3 thugs on a noisy motorcycle surround our protag. With a malicious grin, the leader with the bowl cut gets the boy's attention. Without showing any reaction, the new kid just stops and stares at the delinquents. Suddenly, a violent slap hits our protag square in the face. Caught off guard by the impact, the kid stumbles backward, nearly falling. Full of mockery, the thug says that walking alone in Demon City is asking for trouble and announces he's confiscating his cell phone. With a hand on his bruised face, the boy can hardly believe this place is really the infamous Demon City. Laughing, the thugs celebrate stealing the device, already calculating the 300,000 won profit from selling it. Focusing his gaze on the uniform's crest, the protag realizes the gossip about the place's violence was completely true. Faced with this clown show, the new kid resigns himself, frustrated that he'll have to live in this chaotic neighborhood from now on. While checking the victim's pockets, the aggressor complains about the lack of cash as the boy plays dumb. Suddenly, the thug notices a disgusting detail and decides to change his extortion tactic. Full of malice, the leader orders his goons to pull off the new kid's pants. With the stolen phone in hand, the coward readies the camera to record the humiliation. Threatening to send the photo to his entire family and all his friends, the thug lays out his dirty plan. Through the glowing screen, the aggressor informs him that the victim will have to pay a monthly fee to keep the secret safe. With a macabre smile, the leader thinks he has the situation completely under control. After demanding the absurd deposit of 500,000 won, the blackmail reaches its peak, leaving the boy in shock. Without a second thought, our protag turns his back and bolts in a desperate escape. Easily, the thug sticks out his leg and trips the fugitive with a clean sweep. Losing his balance, the new kid plummets toward the asphalt. Utterly confused, the boy doesn't understand the disproportionate force of the trip. Thrown off the bridge, the kid's body flies straight into the dark void. Colliding brutally with the ground below, the impact kicks up a cloud of dust. After spitting out an absurd amount of blood, the boy tries to catch his breath. Amidst the victim's screams of pain, his suffering becomes a joke for the thugs up above. Watching from above, the accomplices complain that their boss almost took out their golden goose. Completely battered, the protag mentally curses these psycho jerks, realizing he was in real danger of kicking the bucket. As soon as the thugs decide to go down to take the picture, the new kid mutters a plea for help in the dark. Lifting his weak gaze, the boy notices something strange in the darkness. Just ahead, an imposing silhouette appears, standing under the light of a street lamp. Gathering his last bit of strength, the protag screams for help toward the mysterious figure. In a final cry, the victim begs for the stranger to intervene in this cowardly act or call the police. Out of true desperation, the scream tears through our protag's throat, begging for at least a shred of attention. Answering the tearful call, the shadow finally turns its face toward the voice. Pointing to himself, the stranger asks in a deep voice if the boy is talking to him. Annoyed, the kid retorts, asking who else would be out there in the middle of the street. Taking an intimidating step forward, the giant man asks a dark question. From behind a terrifying black aura, the entity asks if the boy can really see it. Inches from the victim's face, the evil spirit leaves the new kid completely paralyzed with terror. Faced with the kid's shock, the creature seems even more surprised to confirm the visual contact. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps announces that the thugs have just come down the bridge and are approaching. Quite confused by the bizarre scene, the thugs stop, staring into empty space, while the boy looks over his shoulder. With a monstrous smile, the ghost seems to have found the perfect situation. With his face frozen in terror, the boy hears the entity seal a macabre pact for immediate help. From behind a dense, monstrous smoke that envelopes the scene, the spirit announces it will solve the problem. Violently, the dark force penetrates the injured kid's body. Thrown into the air by the spiritual pressure, the new kid completely loses control of himself. Suddenly opening his eyes, their gleam now reveals an uncontrollable bloodlust. Landing on the ground with a heavy thud, the boy's posture now exudes pure authority. Completely lost, the 3 thugs think the blow to the head made the victim start talking to himself. Underestimating the danger, the bowl cut leader warns that faking crazy won't save anyone from getting robbed. Pointing a dirty finger, the coward tries to resume the order to strip the boy's clothes off. Taking a confident step, the thug walks straight to his own ruin. Like a lightning bolt, our protag grabs and smashes the thug's face into the asphalt with brute force. With his mouth wrecked on the ground, the aggressor mumbles in pain with broken teeth. In absolute desperation, the tough guy crawls away, cursing the victim, not understanding where this colossal strength came from. With his own face smeared in blood, the possessed body begins to deliver a cold moral lesson. Delivering a merciless kick to the poor guy on the ground, the protag warns that a real man doesn't go around whining. Filled with dread, the other goon tries to back away, desperately pleading for calm to avoid a beating. Through an insane and sadistic smile, the possessed boy scoffs at the extreme fragility of human beings. In the middle of a devastating punch to the enemy's cheek, he warns the thug not to go down so easily. From the absurd force of the impact, the coward's body goes flying like a rag doll. Sprawled on the ground in just his underwear, the aggressor loses consciousness instantly. Sweating nervously, the last two accomplices watch the beatdown, unable to move a muscle. Putting the pieces of the killer aura together, they tremble, asking if the kid is from Demon High School. Slowly turning his back, the entity orders the survivors to spread a clear message. Superimposing the image of the deceased Demon King, the message decrees that the relentless legend has just returned. Suddenly, the spirit relinquishes control, and our protag returns to normal, blinking his eyes. Fixed on the new kid's silhouette, the goons are startled by the bizarre familiarity of that posture. Not understanding the destruction he caused, the boy wonders how on earth he did all that by himself. Looking at his trembling hands, the kid tries to process the supernatural strength he used seconds ago. Seizing the moment of distraction, the two idiots decide to rush him in a surprise attack. Screaming with hatred, the thugs charge blindly as the boy turns his back, shocked by the new threat. In a total panic, the goons scream desperately to run away. Giving no chance for defense, a punch smashes one of their faces. Rising with brutal force, an uppercut breaks the enemy's jaw on the spot. Shocked by his own violence, the new kid stares at his trembling hands. Faced with this beatdown, the last coward runs away in fear. At that moment, a false realization dawns on the boy. Convinced of his own weakness, he deduces that the fight must be a dream. With a firm fist, the kid thinks it's impossible to have that kind of strength in real life. To test the theory, one last blow smashes the thug's face into the ground. Quite scared, our protag confesses that even for a hallucination, the sensation is surreal. Around him, the fallen bodies prove the damage was incredible. Suddenly, the ghostly voice echoes, asking how the experience seems more real than reality itself. Sporting a devilish grin, the spirit scoffs, asking if that was enough. Surprised by the ghost, the boy's eyes widen as much as possible. Right after, the kid wakes up with a jolt in his room at his uncle's house. Straight from the bed, the new kid massages his head, thinking he's still in a nightmare. Suddenly, a sharp pain draws his attention to his own hand. Screaming in agony, the boy cries, not understanding where all the injuries came from. Harshly, the voice from beyond tells the crybaby to shut up. Getting a huge scare, our protag jumps away in terror. Casually floating in the room, the ghost mocks the swelling caused by a few little punches. Throbbing nonstop, the pain in his joints brings the truth to light. From the marks all over his body, his brain finally processes the previous night. That merciless beating he gave the thugs on the bridge was definitely not a delusion. Completely lost, the boy wonders what this crazy thing in front of him is. Focusing on the ghost's jacket, the school crest catches his eye. Engraved on the fabric, the tag clearly displays the cursed name. Stuttering in terror, the kid recognizes the figure as the deceased Demon King. Without losing his cool, the legend says he never doubted his own brilliance. Recalling the fatal accident, the spirit laments the tragic end of his journey. Thinking he was immortal, the king swore his reign would last forever. Even as he plummeted towards his end, his arrogance remained intact. Right after the violent crash, the luxury car turned into a fireball on the road. Staring at the flames, the former boss watches his own demise. Faced with his own bloody corpse, the realization that he's gone finally sinks in. Since that disaster, the ghost has been wandering the city streets. Being invisible to the living, no one heard the spirit's laments. Alone on the rooftops, loneliness tormented the lost soul. No matter how much he tried to ask for help, the entity was completely ignored on the pavement below. This lasted until the fateful encounter with the injured boy. Already walking to school in the morning, the new kid tries to accept that he's being haunted. Indignant at the nickname, the dead guy complains about the lack of respect and says he doesn't understand the situation either. Swaying nervously, our protag asks why he's being followed so closely. Ignoring the other's nervousness, the Demon King states that he also has business to take care of. Stopping in front of a huge building, their steps finally cease. At the entrance of a giant school, the unlikely duo takes a break. Confused by the route, the boy remains completely silent. Thinking there's been a mistake, the new kid asks if the ghost took a wrong turn. Pointing to the sign, the kid informs him that this is Bongxian High, where he was transferred. Shattering the illusion, the ghost decrees that this is the infamous Demon High. Wanting to end the conversation, our hero thanks him very dryly for last night's help. Making it clear he doesn't want any trouble, he says his goodbyes and states that they should each go their own way. With a macabre half smile, the spirit says there's no alternative plan. Because the kid is the only compatible vessel, the king isn't going anywhere. Imposing his presence, the legend declares that the two of them will make history together. Utterly stunned, the new kid turns his head in disbelief at the proposal. Screaming at the top of his lungs, the boy refuses to become a puppet for a lost soul. Aware of his own weakness, he confesses he's a loser who only attracts trouble. Turning his back, our protag tells the deceased to find some other sucker to possess. With his pride wounded, the former monster repeats the word, filled with indignation. Grabbing the new kid's shoulder from behind, the entity releases a crushing spiritual pressure. Squeezing the victim's neck, The ghost reminds him who's in charge of this relationship. Whispering with his head turned, the Demon King demands blind obedience. Suffocating from the evil energy, the boy struggles not to lose consciousness. In a burst of willpower, the kid repels the possession, screaming a gigantic "no." Staring at his own translucent hands, the spirit is shocked by the rejection. Tremendously irritated, the villain grumbles that having his body rejected by a loser wounds his ego. While the boy coughs on the ground, the entity insists it just wanted to borrow his shell for a bit. With hatred in his eyes, the new kid tells the dead guy to shut his trap for once. Completely losing it, the protag screams for the demon to get out of his sight immediately. Suddenly, an unknown female student appears, watching the whole outburst. Completely frozen, our hero realizes the extent of the embarrassment in the middle of the street. Stuttering in shame, the boy tries to justify himself, saying he was fighting an invisible enemy. Walking right past the weirdo, the girl just mutters that the guy is completely nuts. Taking a deep breath to hide his misery, the kid ironically celebrates that the school is co-ed. Paying no attention to the ghost, our protag tells the demon to stop bugging him. Soon after, the new kid is left alone in the middle of the giant courtyard. Looking around, the boy wonders if the ghost has finally left. Sighing deeply, he gives up on understanding the madness and accepts reality. It's time to face the first day of class in room 1-4. On the blackboard, the teacher writes, letter by letter, the name Jo Jin-ho. In a friendly manner, the teacher introduces the transfer student, asking the class to take it easy on him. Getting straight to the point, the adult tells the kid to sit at the empty desk in the back. Without making a fuss, the hero walks to the spot and settles in. Facing the whole class, a bizarre tension fills the room. Quite confused, the protagonist doesn't understand why everyone is staring at him with looks of astonishment. All around, murmurs dominate the back of the classroom, creating a heavy atmosphere. Sitting there under so many gazes becomes an extremely awkward situation. Wondering if it's just paranoia, the boy is already worried about who'll have lunch with later. Suddenly, a light tap on the shoulder cuts through our protag's thoughts. Turning around, our new kid comes face to face with a very weird blondie with glasses. On the classmate's arm, a black armband for a class helper draws all the attention. Outside the classroom, the sun illuminates the seemingly normal school. In a commanding tone, the blondie starts explaining where the trash and recycling bins are. To make the reception worse, he adds that he also needs to sweep the gate and water the flower beds at the entrance. As a false consolation, the helper says the tasks can be done during the breaks between classes. However, the demand comes quickly, informing him that the shift starts promptly at 7:30 in the morning. Annoyed by the nerve, the new student interrupts his classmate right away. Totally indignant, the boy questions why on earth he needs to clean the school on his very first day. Taking off his glasses with an attitude, the blonde kid shoots back the question, wanting to know the reason for the transfer. Quickly, the protag explains that his parents moved, and this was the only school that accepted his enrollment in time. With a dark look, the supposed helper reveals the true name of this school, From Hell. Throughout the neighborhood, no one calls that place Bongxian High. Images of brutal thugs appear to prove that only true monsters study there. Because of so much violence, the nickname Demon High became the territory's trademark. In that place, being number one at the school means you're the baddest bully in the entire country. With great pride, the classmate defines the institution as a school for elite delinquents. Completely out of patience, our protag grumbles that this gang talk makes no sense. Out of nowhere, a brutal punch explodes in the new kid's face without any warning. From the cheap shot, the boy goes flying and lands on his butt in the schoolyard. Completely lost, the kid tries to understand the reason for the unprovoked attack. Around him, a crowd of rowdy students starts to form like vultures. Excited by the fresh meat, the troublemakers celebrate the start of a classic event. Yelling, the crowd announces that the famous Losers War has just begun. Fallen in the middle of a makeshift arena, the hero becomes the center of attention. Stuttering and confused, the protag repeats the absurd name of the internal tournament. Still sprawled on the asphalt, the student tries to focus on the figure standing in front of him. With firm steps, the cowardly blondie approaches, showing who he really is. Clenching his fist in hatred, the fake helper warns that here, everything is settled with pure fists. Soon, the cruel truth emerges, showing that the cleaning duty is just the official punishment for those who sink to the bottom of the food chain. Quickly, the hero connects the dots and stares at the aggressor's armband. Readjusting his posture, the tough guy's expression completely changes, challenging the victim. Ripping his own dress shirt, the blondie kid reveals the jacked monster underneath the uniform. Sporting gang tattoos all over his chest, the delinquent decrees the newcomer's fate. Scared by the level of insanity, our protagonist gulps. Beckoning him to fight with a hand gesture, the tattooed guy demands that the student take on the role of the class janitor by force. In the middle of the deadly circle, the boy is in shock, realizing that absolutely no one is going to break up the fight. Through the building window, the kid spots a teacher holding a small plant and screams for help. Immediately, the teacher bails and slams the window shut, pretending he saw nothing. In disbelief at the negligence, the new kid realizes that even the adults wash their hands of this rundown school. Unexpectedly, a chubby guy sweating bullets opens a fan, announcing that betting in the yard is now open. Throwing bills on the table, the crowd already puts down 50,000 won, betting on the transfer student's defeat. To make matters worse, the bookie yells that payments for the illegal casino must be made in cash only. Screaming in pure indignation, the hero questions what kind of crazy educational institution this is. Taking advantage of the distraction, the tattooed enemy lands a brutal knee strike right in the kid's solar plexus. Without giving him any time to rest, the aggressor grabs our protag's shirt collar. Delivering a combo of heavy punches, the monster pummels the new kid's face without mercy. Trying to protect himself as best he can, the boy pleads to resolve the conflict with peaceful dialogue. Spitting with rage, the delinquent tells the victim to shut up and quietly accept the manual labor of cleaning. Retreating under the rain of cruel blows, the hero realizes his opponent has completely snapped. Suddenly, the name of an old defense tactic flashes in the injured student's mind. Right behind the commotion, the ghost of the deceased demon king appears, crossing his arms with a bored expression. Like a martial arts master, the spirit explains that keeping his distance only makes it easier for the enemy's cross punches. Ordering a quick counter-attack, the legend tells the boy to close the distance with a bear hug. Even while getting pummeled, the kid finds time to correct the historical name of the tactic that the ghost got wrong. Diving straight for the blondie's legs, the protag calls his spiritual advisor an idiot while executing the hold. With the impact of the push, both bodies plummet to the asphalt with a loud thud. Rolling in the courtyard dust, the tough guy curses desperately, telling the victim to let go of his leg. Screaming, the ghost tells the new kid to rotate his hips so he doesn't end up on the bottom, taking punches to his guard. Losing the last ounce of patience with the ugly fight, the demon begs again for control of the body to crush that piece of trash. Facing the ghost, the boy forbids the spirit from stealing his body. Without letting up, the tattooed blondie violently grabs the new kid's hair. Full of swagger, the aggressor warns that giving an enemy space is a fatal mistake. With a devastating punch, our hero's face is mercilessly smashed. Completely dazed, the student falls to his knees, groaning in pain. A brutal kick right to the ribs lifts the victim's body off the ground. Yelling, the tough guy decrees that the new kid is now the official class janitor. Ready for another attack, the coward charges forward, cursing the kid. In an attempt to defend himself, the protag tucks in his arms, taking the hard blow. Through a rain of blows, the delinquent celebrates finding a perfect loser. Regarding his past, the blondie confesses that he used to be bullied and cleaned everything until he took power. Pulling the new student's collar, the monster warns that it's time to pass the torch of humiliation. With an explosive headbutt, our protag's skull nearly cracks in half. Bleeding from the nose, the hero can barely stand after the beating. In the stands, the audience laughs at the cowardice, stating that the fight is too one-sided. Indignant at the situation, the new kid wonders why no one is stopping this carnage. Faced with everyone's passivity, the aggressor already wins up for the next punch. Focused on the enemy's fist, the boy mentally questions the reason for so much suffering. Suddenly, an absurd uppercut explodes on the student's chin, sending him flying. From the force of the impact, the bruised body skids to a stop far across the courtyard. Around the arena, the rowdy students just watch the beatdown in silence. Thrown to the ground, the kid hears the spirit call him an idiot once again. Imposingly, the demon king appears and explains that the law here is very simple. With a clenched fist, the ghost decrees that those who lack strength get beaten up, period. Fallen on the asphalt, the wounded hero accepts that this is the harsh reality of the place. With a malicious grin, the ghost says the new kid's luck is about to turn. Crouching beside the victim, the deceased offers a golden opportunity to turn the tables. Straight to the point, the legend proposes a pact to share control of that body. With the promise of mutual aid, the souls are one step away from sealing the bizarre union. His face stained with blood, our protag finally makes a drastic decision. Certain of his false victory, the blondie raises his arms, celebrating for the audience. Stumbling and battered, the new kid gets up from the ground, refusing defeat. Extremely annoyed, the aggressor complains that the loser stubbornly won't stay down. In a quick advance, the tough guy decides to end this little game once and for all. Ready for the final blow, the coward leaps, telling the boy to just drop already. After a long sigh, the student informs the ghost that he accepts the deal. Surprised by the courage, the ghost confirms his entry into the battle. Through the supernatural contract, the unlikely duo firms up their partnership in the middle of the fight. On its way to the hero's face, the enemy's fist promises to be fatal. Suddenly, a dull thud echoes throughout the entire courtyard. Certain of the hit, the blondie gives a psychopathic smile. Soon reality sinks in, and the aggressor realizes the punch was stopped in mid-air. Like a vise, the hero's brute strength reemerges, squeezing the enemy's hand. Totally possessed by the dark aura, the protag coldly questions what the thug thinks he's doing. With the enemy's fist blocked effortlessly, the kid's posture is now a pure threat. Completely shocked, The aggressor doesn't understand where this resistance came from. With a crack of his neck, the Demon King, in control of the body, complains about the rough transition. Covered in blood, the entity grumbles about the H's in the battered shell. Ignoring the injuries, the ghost casually runs a hand through his hair. With a maniacal grin, the legend claims that the feeling of being alive again is incredible. Under a crushing spiritual pressure, the atmosphere of the courtyard changes in an instant. Face to face with the tattooed blondie, the deceased praises his opponent's strength. Out loud, he concludes that the rank of class janitor is a position for the weak. From recent memory, the ghost notes that the jacked guy hits harder than last night's thugs. Deemed too strong to be cleaning floors, the enemy earns the respect of the former king. With a blood-stained finger, the new version of our protag makes the big reveal. Loud and clear, the kid declares that the blondie will be his number one lackey. Immediately, the entire audience explodes in laughter, finding the scene pathetic. Filled with fury, the tough guy completely loses it at the disrespect. In another leap, the monster questions where the punching bag got so much attitude. With a grin from ear to ear, the possessed hero awaits the attack. In a lightning-fast counter-attack, an uppercut tears through the aggressor's chin. Without letting the body fall, another devastating punch smashes the enemy's face. Straight to the sky, a colossal cross punch launches the jacked guy through the air. With his eyes rolled back, the victim loses consciousness before even hitting the ground. In the stands, the audience's smile vanishes, replaced by pure terror. Shocked by the turnaround, the chubby bookie enters a state of absolute panic. Cold as ice, our protag just watches his opponent fall. From the impact on the asphalt, the tough guy's body bounces, kicking up dust. Pathetic and humiliated, the loser desperately tries to get to his feet. Face to face with his doom, the lackey realizes the monster's true strength. After cracking his knuckles, the king slowly walks toward his new prey. Full of sadism, the ghost says he's looking forward to working with the new employee. Wreathed in pure energy, the protag's fist rises for the final blow, naming the defeated's new profession. Like a meteor, the punch smashes the blondie's head into the asphalt, collecting the cleaning tax. With a brutal smash, the asphalt gives way beneath the enemy's head. From the absurd shock, a wave of dust sweeps across the entire schoolyard. Faced with this bizarre scene, the 17-year-old new kid regains control of his own mind. During his first day at Demon High, chaos is already in full swing. From the stands, school supplies rain down as the crowd roars that the new student destroyed the legend. Scared by the level of madness, our protag stares at his trembling hands, understanding nothing. Quickly, the Demon King reappears, floating, and complains about the extreme fragility of that shell. In the midst of the confusion, the boy notices his own arm is completely limp and dangling loosely. In tears, the kid screams in pain, desperate over his broken bone. Far from the circle, a mysterious upperclassman observes the scene, smiling and praising the new kid's strength. A short time later, the hospital doctor decrees it's just a simple fracture and will be fixed soon. With his arm bandaged in a blue sling, the patient tries to swallow the bitter diagnosis. Walking through the white corridors, the student looks more like a zombie than a winner. Annoyed by the silence, the ghost mocks the situation, asking how the aggressor breaks his hand with a perfect punch. Totally indifferent to the sarcasm, the boy faces the legend and demands his part of the deal, since he gave up his body. Focused on the promise, our hero stares at the evil spirit, waiting for answers. Walking right past the hospital escalator, the unusual pair walks in silence. With no patience, the deceased Demon King tells the boy to shut up and just follow. Extremely suspicious, the new kid asks what big favor a ghost could possibly want. Stopping abruptly in the middle of the hallway, the ghost announces they've reached their destination. Down the empty corridor, the pair stops in front of a restricted room. Curious about the situation, the boy's eyes shine with confusion. Behind the glass door, the real surprise appears, lying in a bed of machines. Shocked to the core, the kid stutters the name Ma Seok-ho, who upon recognizing the bandaged face, totally indignant, the spirit gives a crooked smile and reminds him that he never claimed to be technically gone. Immediately, the protag connects the dots and discovers that the rumor of the violent traffic accident was absolutely true. Changing his tone, the former boss's face darkens, revealing that it was never a simple accident. By eavesdropping on the police, he discovered that the brake line of his fancy car was cut on purpose. On that fateful day, the mechanical failure caused the fatal rollover on the dark road. Since the vehicle had been parked at the school all day, suspicions point to only one place. Without a shadow of a doubt, the one who ordered the attack is some coward from inside Demon High. Casting a murderous glare, the legend reinforces the official mission of the pact. Straight up, the deal is now to hunt down the scumbag who sabotaged the brakes and ruined the monster's life. With a devilish smile, the final order is to find and punish the jerk in the middle of that school, from hell. Breaking out in a cold sweat at the revelation, our protag backs away in fear and pulls his phone from his pocket. Trembling badly, the boy desperately searches on Google how to request a transfer or drop out of high school. Catching the cowardly search, the ghost puts major pressure on him, asking if his partner wants to give up. Full of panic, the new kid lets it all out, accusing the undead guy of being crazy for wanting to go back there. Appealing to his manly pride, the entity questions if the hero is really going to break his given word. Almost crying, the student confesses his absolute terror of dealing with psychos disguised as students. Without the slightest shame for being a coward, he throws in the towel, saying he just wants a quiet, normal life. Mocking his cowardice, the ghost shrugs and says his partner can do whatever he wants with his life. Grinning from ear to ear, the demon starts the blackmail, revealing his own condition for being set free. Because of their soul link, the legend promises to mess with the scaredy cat's head 24 hours a day. In a bizarre threat, the ex-boss swears to follow the poor guy even when he's eating, sleeping, or using the bathroom. With disturbing mental images of a ghost watching you on the toilet, the pressure hits its peak. Displaying a frightening purple aura, the Demon King promises to stick to the victim's neck like a leech. To make the mental torture worse, the entity guesses it'll be there haunting him for 10 or 20 years straight. Completely terrified, the kid hears that the curse will last until the day he gets old and passes on. With no viable way out, the duo returns to the front gate of the ill-fated school, smiling at his victory in blackmail. The invisible master praises the cowardly partner's wise decision. Repeating the mantra about a man's honor, the spirit swears to disappear the instant the culprit is punished. Dissolving into the air like smoke, the dark figure seals the silent partnership. Alone again, our hero takes a deep sigh, staring at the giant asphalt of the courtyard. Faced with so much madness on his first day, the student falls to his knees, exhausted, and questions his own fate. Totally traumatized, the kid swears to himself that this is rock bottom. Suddenly, a thunderous growl from his hungry stomach breaks the melancholic moment. Tossing his worries aside, the new kid decides to get some food before he completely loses his mind. Arriving at the cafeteria door, the smell of food seems to bring some hope to the cursed day. With his hand on the glass doorknob, the boy glimpses a feast and instantly perks up. Right at the entrance, steaming pots and gigantic trays shine, filled with fancy food. Impressed by the abundance, the new kid thinks it's incredible for a public school to serve an all-you-can-eat buffet-style lunch. Eagerly, the hungry boy tries to enter, asking where to get in line after having paid the meal fee. Unexpectedly, an arm roughly blocks his path, telling the kid to back off. Completely confused, our protag's eyes widen, not understanding the rudeness at the gates of paradise. Behind him, the tattooed blondie appears with a bandage and his head down, warning that Raf can't step in there. Disgusting and watery, the soupy slop that tasted like water shared space with a tiny piece of rotten kimchi on the tray. Staring at the worst food in the world, the protag freaks out, saying that not even a maximum security prison is the food this bad. Tossing his spoon on the bench, the boy yells, asking what this clown show in the cafeteria is. Calmly, the blonde lackey with glasses informs him that this is the standard lunch for the bottom of the pyramid. Furious at the injustice, the new kid points to the window, wanting to know what that hotel-like banquet inside is. Didactically, the ex-bully explains that at Demon High, a good lunch isn't a right, but an achievement. In a ridiculous color-coded system, the students' tags dictate who eats well. The top 20% eat everything, and the Raf chokes down slop. Complaining that everyone pays the same monthly fee, the hero asks what psycho created this starvation law. At that exact moment, the Demon King appears, smoking an invisible cigarette, and confesses that he was the one who instituted this nonsense for pure fun. Aware that the ghost turned the school into a living heck, our protag is shocked. Totally indignant at the revelation, the new kid stares at the blonde lackey sitting nearby. Full of anger, the kid questions at the top of his lungs if it was the dead guy who invented all this. Right at that moment, the chubby guy with glasses shows a rank tag. In an apologetic tone, the ex-bully says that the previous day's beatdown was unavoidable. With a pitiful look, the blondie confesses that he was just trying to survive in that chaos. By the school's bizarre rule, that place swallows the weak without mercy. To not lose face, the goon grumbles that the hero's blow was pure luck and doesn't consider it a defeat. Surprised by the audacity, our boy thinks the excuse is a joke in poor taste. Getting straight to the point, the student holds the enemy's arm and mocks the peeling fake tattoo. Full of shame, the fake monster admits he bought the tough guy sticker online. On the defensive, the chubby guy tries to explain that picking fights is all about presence and intimidation. With a deep sigh, the new kid concludes that his punishment partner is just a very weird guy. Suddenly, an upperclassman with orange hair appears, applauding the duo and calling them incredible. In a mocking tone, the redhead finds it sweet that they were fighting yesterday and are having a snack together today like true alpha males. With the memory of the fight fresh, the giant sits next to the duo and comments that the blondie even started the duel well. With a friendly smile on his face, the newcomer notices an aggressive reaction from the chubby guy. In a surprise attack, the lackey tries to punch the meddler in the face, but the upperclassman dodges, laughing. Totally in shock, the coward with glasses realizes his punch hit empty air. Full of swagger, the redhead points his finger and warns that the aggressor is back to square one. Face to face with danger, the fake tattooed guy freezes in fear. Without any warning, a sharp slap cracks across the chubby guy's face with extreme violence. Along with the blow, the big guy coldly repeats that the loser's status has been reset. Right after, a merciless sequence of slaps begins to pummel the poor guy's cheek. With each slap, the punisher yells, demanding the money he lost on the bet. From the force of the impact, the victim's glasses fly off into the air. With the victim thrown onto the stairs, the upperclassman confesses the financial loss he took betting on him. With a quick movement, the aggressor turns his head and flashes a friendly smile at our injured hero. Curled up on the ground in pain, the blondie whimpers a pathetic apology. Faced with this brutal demonstration, the kid finally deduces the mysterious guy's rank. Abruptly, a heavy hand lands on our injured protagonist's shoulder. With his body pressed against the new kid, the redhead welcomes him with a grin from ear to ear. Due to his nervousness, the boy remembers that according to the Demon King's rules, the title of president carries weight. With his eyes focused on the red tag on the uniform, the hero confirms the monster's identity. By the school's animal hierarchy, that huge guy is simply the alpha predator of Class 1-4. Uncomfortable with the proximity, the student feels the weight of the upperclassman's authority on his back. In a terrifyingly gentle tone, the president continues to force a friendship with the fresh meat. Trapped in that awkward situation, the freshman can barely blink. Engraved in bold letters, the leader's name commands absolute respect. Without losing his cool, the big guy exudes a confidence worthy of someone who runs the school. Randomly, the redhead changes the subject and invites the new kid to swing by the canteen. Pulled by the collar, the freshman is dragged on a mandatory tour of the facilities. Totally surrendered, our hero just lowers his head and accepts his fate. Far away, the former tattooed lackey remains sprawled on the asphalt, his face stinging. Upon crossing the convenience store door, a shelf crammed with snacks catches the duo's attention. With his hands full of treats, the redhead asks about the hero's fighting style and gets badminton as a response. Finding the excuse a joke, the president insists, wanting to know about real martial arts. With the most bored expression, the student guarantees he's never thrown a punch in his life. Shocked by the victim's natural gift, the upperclassman freezes in the store aisle. At the checkout counter, the bill, full of soda and chips, comes to almost 25,000 won. Annoyed by the waste, the kid questions why they need so many bottles of mineral water. With the most shameless expression, the big guy tells the new kid to foot the entire bill. After sighing for the 1,000th time that day, the hero digs into his pocket for his wallet. After turning out the lining, the sad reality hits. There isn't a single penny in there. In a major bind, the student extends his arm to try to explain the situation to the cashier. With a drop of sweat trickling down his face, the awkwardness chills the room. Unexpectedly, the outstretched hand just flips the bird in a wild insult. Faced with the obscene gesture, the president's eyes widen, not believing the suicidal audacity. Wreathed in a spiritual aura, the rude finger acts completely against the protag's will. Over his shoulder, the deceased smiles and tells the freeloader to swallow his finger since he has no money to pay for the food. Furious with the submission, the ghost tells the new kid to face the loyalty test with full force. With his eyes trembling in terror, our protagonist is sure that his time has come. With a stern face, the giant upperclassman takes a frightening step toward the victim. From the crushing tension in the air, the kid decrees his own tragic end at that counter. In the blink of an eye, the big guy explodes into loud laughter, finding the response incredibly brilliant and earning his respect. Completely lost, the freshman thanks the heavens that the ghost's reverse psychology worked. With a friendly pat, the leader pulls a mysterious object from his coat pocket. With his hand outstretched, the upperclassman hands over an official yellow tag. Through the piece of plastic, the student discovers that handing out ranks is also the president's job. With a sincere smile, the redhead officially places the hero on the official board of Demon High. Full of camaraderie, the alpha predator decrees a new friendship between the two. Suspicious of the handout, the boy wonders if this is a real partnership or just a dirty trick. Through the school hallways, the yellow tag ensures a safe and average place in the power ranking. Side by side with the most dangerous guy in the class, the new kid's life gets a moment of peace. With his head down to hide his smile, our protag celebrates finding the perfect hiding spot. Down the school hallway, the new kid believes he's found the perfect hiding spot. Sighing with relief, the hero plans to spend his days there quietly and peacefully. Suddenly, a giant, disgusting cricket appears in his vision, blocking the moment's peace. Just behind a cell phone screen, several goons are recording the gross scene. Completely lost, the boy watches the former tattooed lackey holding a plate with the live insect. Not understanding the context of that nonsense, the entire class falls into a deathly silence. Full of excitement, the red-haired president announces that the guys need to get back the money they lost on the bet. With a macabre smile, the big guy announces the start of a channel focused on eating live insects. Indignant at the humiliation, the protag asks if this bunch of psychos has gone completely insane. Ignoring the outrage, the leader continues to laugh and praise his own sick idea. In a brutal lunge, the fake monster with glasses is grabbed by the face with extreme force. Yelling, the upperclassman promises to split the channel's profits if the chubby guy swallows the disgusting thing. Thrashing like a fish out of water, the victim cries as they try to shove the bug into his mouth. Tired of the little show, the redhead slowly turns his attention to the transfer student. In a threatening tone disguised as kindness, the bully invites the hero to participate in the video. Closing in, the president orders the new kid to feed the victim in front of the cameras. While the poor guy with glasses struggles, muffled, the atmosphere in the room reaches the peak of bullying. Faced with the crushing pressure, our protagonist freezes with his eyes wide in fear. To speed up the outcome, the upperclassman demands that the disgusting mission be completed quickly so everyone can leave. With a dark voice, the ghost appears and says that obeying the order is the only way to get out of the main target's sight. Behind the kid, the Demon King questions if running from the problem wasn't exactly what the coward wanted. Swallowing his own pride, the boy accepts the dirty task and decides to end the torture once and for all. Holding the monstrous cricket by its leg, the hero's hand trembles uncontrollably. To disguise the cruelty, the upperclassman cracks jokes, saying that insects are pure protein, and that people even eat silkworm pupa. With his stomach turning, the student shifts his focus from the disgusting insect directly to the victim's face. Right near the victim's face, the hero raises the insect, ready to force the humiliation. With tears in his eyes, the chubby guy completely loses hope and braces himself, expecting the worst. On the doe's backs, the redhead gives a sadistic smile, celebrating the group cruelty. Suddenly, a dull thud echoes as the cricket simply falls onto the classroom floor. Shocked by the script change, the leader looks at the floor and asks what this nonsense is. With his head down, our protag clenches his fists and whispers for the group to stop this cowardice. Raising his face with hatred, the boy screams for the president to end the sick game immediately. Staring down the giant, the new kid warns that the humiliation has crossed the line of common sense. In a second of silence, the redhead lets out a dry chuckle as if he heard a bad joke. His expression completely changing, the bully grumbles that the real buzzkill is the new kid. In a lightning-fast crack, the monster's hand turns into a violent slap right across the new kid's face. Disappointed with the refusal, the president confesses he expected more malice from the transfer student. From the colossal force of the slap, the hero's body is brutally thrown backward. Full of anger, the aggressor declares that he hates Goody too, shoes who have no sense of their own reality. Spitting blood from the impact, the student's mouth contorts in a spasm of pure agony. Without letting up, the redhead sends morals and ethics to heck with another blow. Gaining momentum, the colossal fist prepares to destroy the fallen victim. Under the law of the jungle, the leader decrees that the weak were made only to be preyed upon by the stronger. Raising his arm to celebrate his own sick ideology, the psycho lets out an evil laugh. Delivering a final hateful slap, the monster roars that this is the true law of nature at dim and high. Paralyzed on the floor, our hero realizes that this talk of survival of the fittest is all too familiar. Immediately, the memory of the Demon King echoes in his mind, proving that taking a beating without fighting back is a loser's fate. Face to face with the cruelty, the new kid connects the dots about the school's cursed legacy. Grabbing the boy by the collar, inches from his face, the redhead spits out his philosophy of survival. Confused by the weakling's audacity, the upperclassman notices a muffled chuckle coming from the bloodied victim. Smiling at the aggressor, the orange-haired kid thinks he's finally broken the new kid's spirit. Clenching his bruised fists, the hero gathers all the courage left in his battered body. With an absolute crash, the protagonist's forehead meets the giant's nose in an explosive headbutt. Faced with the shock, the rowdy student's eyes widen, and they freeze instantly. Gushing blood, the president's head snaps back from the disproportionate force of the blow. Staggering away from the aggressor, the wounded student gets into position, ready for the worst. Retreating with his hands on his smashed face, the upperclassman tries to process who had the audacity to hit a leader. With a smile worthy of a lunatic, the hero mocks the title of president, calling the guy a show-off with a red tag. In complete desperation, the classroom turns into a madhouse with everyone screaming in fear. Spitting out the accumulated blood, the kid wipes his mouth and prepares for the inevitable payback. Full of swagger, the new kid cracks his neck, sighing with relief for finally fighting back. Behind the hero, the Demon King appears with his arms crossed, wanting to know if the half-baked revenge was enough. Looking over his shoulder, the boy seriously states that the mess isn't over yet. Impatient with the slowness, the entity questions if it needs to take over the body again to lay the smackdown on the redhead. Walking to the center of the stage, the student shakes his head, denying the possession. Touching the school crest, the kid directs the blame exactly to the source of all evil. Confused by the accusation, the spirit raises an eyebrow, not understanding the target of the hatred. Recalling the pact between souls, the hero invokes the agreement to solve both of their biggest problems together. On the ghost's side, the deal is to find and crush the saboteur who caused the fatal traffic accident. Retorting with fire in his eyes, the new kid accuses the deceased of turning the school into a pigsty of psychos. Pointing to the absurd rules in the ranking system, he blames the old demon king for that entire heckhole. Staring down the ghost who created the chaos, the student takes responsibility for his own part of the deal. With blood running down his face and pure determination in his eyes, the protag's demand is clear and heavy. Ordering the final mission, the kid demands that the legend implode his own kingdom with his own hands. Far from stopping at the redhead, our protagonist extends the threat to that whole bunch of sickos. To prove his point, the boy compares the school's thugs to a swarm of blowflies. Having no choice, these filthy insects swarm over the worst possible place. In the new kid's view, Demon High has become a giant, floating pile of manure. Attracted by the smell of garbage, the worst delinquents have gathered there under one roof. Completely confused, the ghost doesn't understand the kid's subliminal message. Without mincing words, the hero accuses the deceased demon king of producing that manure. With a finger in the dead guy's face, the student points out the real culprit for the school's chaos. Only because of the old leader's idiotic rules does that madhouse of thugs continue to exist. With a crooked smile, the invisible monster listens to the outrage and agrees with the boy's logic. Accepting the condition of the partnership, the entity agrees to the madness of tearing down its own creation. Back to the original deal, the hunt for the break saboteur remains the ghost's priority. On the other side of the coin, the kid demands the full fulfillment of the other part of the pact. Totally unafraid of the deceased, the final order is to clean up the mess the monster left behind. Yelling, the new kid decrees that Demon High will be destroyed down to the last brick. After the suicidal declaration, an absolute silence dominates the divided minds of the two partners. Faced with the absurdity of the mission, the spirit questions if the plan involves crushing everyone alone. Reaffirming the proposal, the new kid thumps his chest, guaranteeing he's the only one in the room willing to do it. Ironic to the core, the ghost scoffs, asking if the battered shell will hold up for the impossible mission. With his head steaming, the Demon King gets irritated with the loser kid's bizarre confidence and threatens to break the deal. In the middle of the mental argument, a heavy stomp breaks the mood and brings the hero back to reality. In the blink of an eye, a clenched fist flies across the room straight at the new kid. Yelling, some random student loses patience and decides to attack the transfer freshman by surprise. Thanks to the instincts inherited from the entity, the protagonist dodges the cross, punch with absolute perfection. In a hit-and-run style blow, the aggressor's face eats a sharp elbow. Falling hard to the floor, the extra becomes another punching bag on the kid's tab. Smiling like a maniac, the protag complains about having his private conversation interrupted. With a monstrous sequence of punches, the victim plummets defenselessly among the desks. Thrown far away, the poor guy's body draws the entire class's attention to the newcomer. At the very back of the room, the deep voice of the orange-haired president cuts through the air, calling for the freshman. Interested in the display of violence, the red-haired leader finds the new kid's aggressive attitude amusing. To find a single killer in the crowd, the hero throws a chair aside, assuming a hunting stance. Without beating around the bush, he deduces that the best way to get answers is to smash everyone's face in. With a bizarre crash, another tough guy's body meets the ground violently and mercilessly. From the insane sequence of knee strikes, the room turns into a veritable slaughterhouse of thugs. With each new blow, another poor guy flies into the air, spitting blood on the ceiling. Far off, the audience observes that only the highest rank in the class is left to defeat. On the official list, the owners of the yellow tags are swept away without a chance of mercy. Surrounded by bodies strewn on the floor, the injured hero dominates the room like a monster. After the destruction, the boy crosses his arms and faces the red-haired president, declaring open war. For revenge against the killer and an end to the stupid rules, the protag glares at the boss. With a crazy smile, the invincible duo formed by the kid and the Demon King vows to pulverize the entire school. Without a single worry, the redhead cracks his knuckles, completely ignoring the insane threat. Soon after, a murmur grows among the cowardly students in the room, creating a championship finale atmosphere. Faced with the spectacle about to begin, our protag faces the last challenge in the room. Sighing in confusion, a fallen delinquent finds it impossible to understand the freshman's suicidal audacity. Whether out of courage or insanity, the fight for control of the classroom was sealed, with no turning back. In an athletic leap, the orange-haired president jumps and lands right in the middle of the circle. With soft steps, the monster's relaxed posture shows he hasn't even broken a sweat yet. Smiling like a sociable psychopath, the giant asks if the freshman really wants to hasten his own demise. Outside, the commotion grows in the hallway, spreading the gossip of a new major showdown. In the whispers, the crowd says that the champion of the losers' war has challenged the king of the class. Yelling, the gossip changes its name, officially becoming the election for the office of president. In a matter of seconds, all the chairs in the classroom are pushed against the walls, clearing the arena. Within a huge human circle, the tense atmosphere is applauded by the sadists present. In the corner of the crowd, a classic fan opens, revealing the presence of someone who profits from chaos. With a grin from ear to ear, the chubby bookie starts the wheel of clandestine betting. Straight and quick, the president bets 5,000 won on his own victory to provoke his enemy. Putting the invisible money in the pot, the self-confidence bet sends the bully's ego soaring. With a completely straight face, the fan owner cuts the mood, reminding him that bets are only in cash. Scratching his nose with swagger, the underworld bookie throws it in his face that the redhead is already drowning in debt at the school. To justify the non-payment, the orange-haired leader guarantees he'll rip off the hero's head real quick to pay up. Looking down on his injured opponent, the bully thinks victory will be as easy as breathing. Prepared to jump at the enemy's throat, the gigantic shadow crushes the freshman's fragile figure. On the edge of the circle, the crowd eggs them on, telling him to break the meddling loser's good arm too. Ironically, the former lackey with glasses cries, calling for the certain end of the kid who humiliated him. Completely focused, the new kid takes a deep breath, seemingly talking to his own solitude. Recalling the bizarre agreement, the hero whispers to the deceased that he better not back out now, and let him get taken out here. In a manifestation of raw energy, the spiritual aura imposes the main clause: without the king's help, the school won't fall. Annoyed with the verbal tactics, the president scoffs, thinking his opponent has gone nuts talking to himself. Taking a quick step back, the freshman gains distance for the inevitable advance. Under the spiritual threat, the new kid declares out loud that he will display the terrifying power of the school's true monster. Laughing at the supposed madness, the redhead sees the promise of destruction as the pure delusion of a sucker. To close the show, our protagonist promises to mercilessly crush the school's idiotic ranking from the bottom up. After confessing he finds this madness fun, his left arm draws back, charging an explosive blow. With a brutal crash, the darkness gives way, beginning the most insane fight that classroom has ever witnessed. In a lightning-fast attack, the new kid throws a cross that rips through the wind. With blood in his eyes, the possessed student focuses only on the orange target. Effortlessly, the upperclassman leans his head back millimeters, dodging perfectly. Due to the missed attack, an overwhelming sequence of ghost punches flies through the air, hitting nothing. Trapped in a dark corner of his own mind, the body's true owner enters a state of total panic. Frightened by the enemy's absurd skill, the kid questions if this is really the level of a red tag. Laughing at the desperation, the redhead praises the new kid's strength, finding the impact interesting. Finishing the sentence, the big guy lands an explosive punch right in the hero's chest and calls him an amateur. Shocked by the speed of the blow, the boy can barely breathe. Out of nowhere, the president's fist pulls the guard up, armed for another blow. In a violent ballet, the leader launches an insane left-right combination, pummeling the protag's body. Yelling, the monster celebrates the effectiveness of his own fighting style, dishing out punishment at the speed of light. Taking kicks and punches from all sides, the new kid notices a crucial detail. In the middle of the beatdown, the upperclassman's feet are light and rhythmic, bouncing on the floor. Closing his high guard, the aggressor throws straight punches as if he were a machine. Aware of the sharp technique, the Demon King deduces that the jerk isn't just any troublemaker. Behind the red aura, it's clear that giant underwent serious and focused training. From the loose movement of his legs, the combat tactic reveals the origin of his power. Along with the defensive posture of his arms and the straight punches, the diagnosis is certain. Without a shadow of a doubt, the entity confirms that the opponent is a natural-born boxer. In his imagination, boxing gloves confirm the technical disadvantage of the street fighting hero. On a phantom ring, the image of the president materializes, wearing boxing trunks. To make matters worse, the ghost claims that the redhead didn't just train for fun. With a serious face, the former lackey with glasses spreads the gossip among the students at the edge of the circle. Sporting a provincial medal, the Orange Monsters record boasts 17 wins and an absurdly elite level. Holding up the trophy in the crowd's mind, the title of regional champion weighs against the freshman. With an arrogant smile, the giant lowers his arms, thinking the fight is already over. Panting and spitting blood, the possessed student faces defeat head-on. Full of mockery, the boxer blows out air, laughing at the challenger's miserable state. To the four wins, the redhead makes fun of the new kid's terrified face in the middle of the makeshift arena. Appealing to his boxing pride, the class leader says he'd prefer to fight clean against an opponent in one piece. Pointing to the hero's broken arm, the giant asks if it would be fair to crush a cripple. In an act of pure provocation, the bully hides his strong right hand in his pants pocket. Spitting self-confidence, he promises to beat the new kid using only his left hand. Annoyed by the humiliation, the hero's eyes widen at the sheer audacity. Totally indignant, the Demon King questions who this cocky punk thinks he is. Driven by pure anger, the kid charges forward in a blind rush toward the enemy's face. Shocked by the monster's lightness, the freshman sees the orange blur disappear from in front of him. In a perfect dodge, the president reappears, clicking his tongue in a tone of disappointment. Before he can even turn his neck, the new kid takes a cross punch right to the kisser. Giving no chance for defense, the boxer tells his opponent to get his head in the game. From the crushing force, the protag's body bounces from side to side, taking blow after blow. Outside the arena, the audience goes wild, praising the leader's invisible footwork. Far from the divided mind, the body suffers a true one-sided beatdown, with the ghost admitting the plan's ineffectiveness. In a general roar of victory, the class celebrates the merciless beating, chanting the name of the class king. Within his own consciousness, the original boy confesses that for a second, he was rooting for the aggressor's victory. Watching his own body get relentlessly beaten, he deduces that the ghost's defeat would nullify the haunting pact. Tired of feeling his shell get pummeled, the new kid mentally pleads for the legend to give up already. Suddenly, a macabre shift in the body's expression completely changes the mood. Smiling like a hungry demon, the protagonist faces the enemy again, his face covered in blood. Completely lost in the situation, the red-haired boxer finds the laughter of someone taking a historic beating strange. With a heavy stomp, the hero shifts his weight forward, blocking the opponent's retreat. With a brutal uppercut, the kid's fist rises, tearing at the champion's chin. Feeling the wind from the impact, the president jerks his head to the side, dodging by a hair's breadth. Thanks to the absurd agility of boxing, the dodge saves the redhead from a certain knockout. With his guard down and a crooked smile, the hero whispers that he finally got the jerk. Mocking the near hit, the bully sways his body, saying he just has to dodge and continue the beating. In a bizarre twist, the new kid denies the missed punch, stating that the real blow wasn't aimed there. In a low sweeping motion, the student's shoe sole locks the giant's foot to the ground with force. Shocked by the stomp, the boxer loses the fundamental base of his praised footwork. Due to the complete loss of balance, the orange monster falls pathetically on his butt in the middle of the circle. Gaining momentum with a gigantic leap, the hero jumps towards the enemy with his legs spread. Desperate, the redhead crosses his strong arms in front of his face, forming a perfect shield against the stomp. Laughing sadistically, the demonic voice decrees again that the main blow was never aimed at the head. Straight for the president's outstretched shin, the hero's sneaker sole comes down like a hammer on an anvil. With a deafening crack, the boxing champion's leg gives way under the violent weight of the stomp. With his expression twisted in agony, unimaginable pain hits the big guy full force. Mocking his footwork, the kid calls the enemy a little hopping bunny and asks if he wants to try jumping again. With a straight knee to the face, the new kid sends the redhead flying, completing the destruction. Groaning in pain, the leader falls, huddled, clutching his injured leg. With his base destroyed, the bully limps badly, dragging his useless foot on the classroom's asphalt floor. Seizing the golden opportunity, the protag mercilessly kicks exactly at the fractured joint. From the force of the impact, the giant's foot twists in a frightening way, making the monster roar. In the stands, the troublemakers belittle the tactic, calling the move a dirty, cowardly trick. Ironically, the bookie cuts off the whining, saying that breaking the base is basic against any untouchable boxer. Judging by the freshman's weird appearance, the bookie finds it impossible for him to be tough. Re-evaluating the situation from his ringside seat, the spirit of the Demon King notices a hidden brutality. Smiling with a mouth full of blood, the hero advances, exuding pure killer instinct. In a festival of punishment, the new kid unleashes an absurd sequence on the redhead's face. In the stands, the audience is in shock, seeing the untouchable one being cornered. Taking punches from all angles, the president completely loses his way in the fight. Gritting his teeth in pure agony, the champion's expression reveals the weight of the damage. With a devastating uppercut, the protag's fist explodes on the monster's chin. From the inertia of the blow, the giant is thrown backward in a violent trajectory, falling heavily to the ground. The upperclassman's head bounces on the asphalt with a frightening thud. Sweating and breathing through his mouth, the victorious kid doesn't forgive the enemy's silence. Remembering the earlier swagger, the student mocks the ridiculous promise to fight with only one hand. Trying to get up, the boxer clenches his fists and glares at the freshman with pure hatred. Yelling, the redhead tells the new kid to shut up and come at him. Immediately, the hero's sneaker sole smashes the president's nose with a direct stomp to the face. After the stomp to the face, the new kid lands heavily on the ground, kicking up dust. In a desperate counter-attack, the redhead lunges, using what little strength he has left. Without letting up, the freshman parries the leader's blow, while landing another one right in his kisser. Disappointed by the force of the impact, the hero whispers that the enemy's punch has gotten too weak. Because of the destroyed ankle, the boxer's base simply can't support his weight anymore. Noticing the fatal opening, the protag grabs the big guy's wrist with brute force. To end the trash talk for good, the new kid decides to put an end to the debate. Reaching into his memory, the student remembers the unprovoked punch he took to the face earlier. Ironically, he returns the question sadistically, wanting to confirm who hit first. With a snap of realization, the boxer's eyes freeze in absolute terror. Suddenly, the freshman's clenched, covered fist rises like a sledgehammer. Around the arena, the extras hold their breath, watching the monster's tragic end. On the brink of chaos, the bookie's face turns pale along with the crowd. Cold as ice, the new kid locks his eyes on the aggressor, ready to collect the debt with interest. In a colossal impact, the cast comes down, tearing through the president's eyebrow. Flying high through the air, the bully's huge body plummets, completely losing it. Before the lights go out, the hero yells loud and clear, collecting the payback for the earlier punch. Full of adrenaline and hatred, the new kid warns that the cast just made the punch 1,000 times more lethal. Clenching his immobilized fist, the freshman admits the improvised weapon was brilliant. In a final blow, nicknamed the cast punch, the strike buries the redhead's head in the concrete. From the insane sound of the impact, the school's silence turns to dust in an instant. Faced with the crushing victory, the entire audience freaks out, unable to believe what just happened. Confirming the absurd record, the chubby bookie notes 2 wins and 0 losses on the class scoreboard. Overnight, the scrawny kid's name gains the weight of a monster among the riff-raff. Standing over the fallen body, the injured hero officially ascends to the top title of Class 1-4. Under the bloody law of Demon High, the natural order was finally applied without any frills. In the freshman class, the established revolution broke the traditional rules of oppression. Ironically mocking its own no-violence assign, the class now lives in a new reality. On the notice board, the list of rankings and those demoted to cleaning duty simply vanished. Thanks to the imposed force, the former lackey cries with emotion at the new status of equality for all the weak. Furious with the insubordination, a sweaty upperclassman trembles with rage at the door of the reformed class. Sliding the door open brutally, a riot squad of thugs invades the new paradise. Yelling, the gang demands answers, facing the freshman responsible for breaking the system. In the middle of the crowd armed with sticks and stones, an arm sporting the president's band catches the eye. Bowing at a perfect 90-degree angle, the entire class shouts in unison, revering the freshman. Confused and awkward, our hero breaks out in a cold sweat at the cringy title of Big Bro. Pulling the extras' ears, the former lackey dishes out kicks, demanding proper posture. Yelling, the chubby guy demands more respect, ordering them to bow their heads and not look at the boss. Revolted by the bizarre scene, the invading upperclassman questions where the promise of no hierarchy went. Adjusting his glasses with extreme swagger, the lackey throws it in their faces that he's become the new king's right-hand man. Indignant at the contradiction, our protag grumbles that this crap is the same as having goons. Kneeling like a fanatical vassal, the one with glasses swears blind loyalty for life. In complete silence, the new kid tries to process the sheer madness the school has become. Immediately, the demon king appears floating and asks what this tame nonsense is. Yelling mentally at the deceased, the hero tries to justify that he didn't want to play the dictator for good. To the ghost, changing the school with moral lectures is a joke, and it demands domination by force. Sticking to his dark ideology, the legend dictates that being number 1 is the only way to shut the thugs up. Full of frustration, the kid cries on the inside, asking why on earth his life has turned into a gang movie. Laughing at the Terry face, the ghost asks for patience and says he'll take care of the boring part of the school. In an aggressive move, a giant hand smashes the protag's head in the middle of his lament. Taking the lead in the deal again, the ghost demands the new kid's part of the investigation immediately. Outside, the gigantic Bongcheon General Hospital serves as the base for the main patient. At the entrance to the intensive care unit, the duo's silence breaks the somber mood of the hallway. Standing at the bedside of the real Demon King, the two try to build a suspect profile of the saboteur. Straight from the source, the freshman questions who on earth had enough reason to want the guy gone. In a comedic pause, the boy asks the entity to simply list everyone who's ever gotten a beatdown from him. Without blinking, the mental monster starts by remembering the third-year Kwon Cheol-young, who got beat up badly in the past. Soon after, the list grows with the face of a smashed and destroyed second-year student. Faced with the legion of enemies, the ex-dictator's list reveals practically the entire school wanted him taken out. Laughing nervously, our protag says that at this rate, it would be easier to find who the unfortunate soul hasn't beaten up yet. Dry and direct, our protag simply replies that he has no idea what the password is. Faced with this ignorance, the ghost falls completely silent, a bead of sweat trickling down. Soon, stating the obvious, the legend grumbles that the kid is useless as a drawer is opened. Without wasting time, the ghost orders him to look for clues in the room and rummage through everything he can. Suddenly, the new kid picks up a cell phone with a completely shattered screen, getting chewed out by the dead guy for touching his stuff. To ignore the scolding, the boy asks if the bully used social media back in the day. On the cracked screen, the deceased profile shows photos full of goons with the cheesy caption about the Ma family. In the next post, the gang appears in a luxury car, reinforcing this talk of blood brothers. Full of flexing, the demon's feed only has photos with his supposed brothers, in arms. Cringing hard, our protag asks who these weird kids are. Full of pride, the ghost grins widely and reveals that this was the feared Demon King family. To the ex-leader, that crew represented the true partners who bled and laughed by his side. With a nostalgic look, the deceased swears that everyone there were true friends. In a casual hug, the spirit scoffs, saying a lonely loser would never understand this bond. Without an ounce of patience, the hero slaps the device to push away the pest. Grumbling, the student continues to rummage through the comatose patient's destroyed cell phone. Unexpectedly, a very pretty girl in a uniform appears in the room, holding her own device. Surprised by the visit, our boy turns his head and asks who the newcomer is. Quickly, the kid's memory sparks, remembering he had bumped into her before. In the middle of the hospital room, the two stare at each other in a completely awkward silence. Directly, the girl questions why the new kid is holding her brother's cell phone. Completely in shock, the protag stutters, trying to process the word brother. Faced with the revelation, the boy's mind explodes upon discovering that the girl is the Demon King's younger sister. On the cell phone screen, the name Ma-ho confirms the identity of the unusual visitor. Cold with sweat, the student can hardly believe this information is real. In the hero's mind, the math doesn't add up, since the girl is too pretty to be related to that monster. Behind him, the ghost is also freaking out, doubting the kinship, while the kid talks to the air. Looking around, the new kid realizes the ghost has simply vanished from the map again. With a threatening step, the sister demands answers, wanting to know who the weirdo is. Caught red-handed, our protag stutters, making up an excuse that someone asked him to come visit. Immediately, a sharp slap hits the kid's face without any warning. Shocked and with a stinging cheek, the hero is completely lost by the aggression. With her backpack in hand, the girl yells, demanding to know who sent him there. Under a rain of blows, she accuses the new kid of being a goon for some gold bucket, while the boy pleads for peace. Due to the sudden violence, the student stumbles and falls on his butt on the hospital floor. Full of hatred, the sister sends a direct message to this mysterious thug. After slamming the door in the kid's face, she promises to pay the money by the end of the week. Thrown into the hallway, our protag sits there, absorbing the humiliation. Still confused, the boy tries to process the storm that just happened. In a cry of frustration, he questions who on earth this darn gold bucket is. Suddenly, a deep voice echoes, asking if someone called for him. In the details, a star tattoo on his face and a very expensive gold watch come into view. With a bored expression, the muscular guy confirms he's the owner of the bizarre nickname. Full of swagger, the big blonde guy crosses the hallway like a tank. Walking right past our fallen hero, the bully completely ignores his existence. Without any ceremony, the door to the Demon King's room is opened by the blonde brute. In that exact second, it finally clicks for our protag. From recent memory, the boy connects the guy's face to the gang photos on social media. In the mental image, the big guy appeared, smiling next to his old boss. Through the crack in the glass, the student suspects the goon's intentions. By pure logic, the new kid deduces that the two were great friends to be visiting in the hospital. Suddenly, the big blonde guy takes a deep breath and prepares a nice loogie. Without an ounce of respect, the brute spits right in the comatose patient's face. Through the oxygen mask, the disgusting mess drips down, staining the former Demon King. With a quick cloth, the patient's sister jumps into action to clean up the mess. Wiping her brother's face, the girl quietly pleads for him to wake up from this nightmare soon. With an annoying noise, the intruder drags a chair over and gets comfortable in the room. With pure hatred in her eyes, the girl glares at the cowardly big guy. On the enemy's wrist, the gold watch exudes all the guy's swagger. Officially introduced, the thug is Kim Dong-hee, a second year known as Gold Bucket. Acting all casual, the second year tells the girl to be polite and call him Big Bro. Against the bad taste joke, the girl maintains her cold and silent posture. Out of pure necessity, she asks for just a little more time to pay the debt. With a click of his tongue, the tattooed blondie's face darkens, showing total irritation. Through a cheap lecture, the loan shark complains that debtors always get cocky when it's time to pay back the cash. In an attempt to negotiate, the young woman explains her salary is late, but the criminal slaps on a 15% daily interest rate. Shocked by the abuse, the girl's eyes widen at this criminal interest rate. Tapping his finger on the watch face, the thug drops the cliché line that time is money. Blind with rage, the girl yells in his face, reminding him of his supposed friendship with the Demon King. Towards the hospital bed, the brute scoffs at the word friend. With his lungs full, the disgusting guy prepares another big spitwad. With a violent loogie, the big guy humiliates the unconscious ex-boss. Faced with the scene, the two teenagers are completely paralyzed by the cowardice. Without mincing words, the blondie confesses that no one in the gang could ever stand that jerk. In front of the useless body, Gold Bucket finishes by saying that the leader was just a big sucker. Mockingly, the lone shark says there was no one like him, and he just had to suck up a little. With a sinister smile, the tattooed guy claims that the ex leader would fight even the king of heck for the gang. Blind with rage, the girl grits her teeth at the dirty provocation. In a sudden move, the girl slaps the bully's hand, calling the guy trash. Immediately, the big guy grabs the young woman's wrist with pure brute force. Without letting go of her arm, the blondie returns the insult, saying that trash is someone who doesn't value money. Cold as ice, the collector grumbles that deadbeats are all the same. Pulling her arm, the victim hears the thug whisper that people like that don't understand through conversation. Raising his heavy hand, the coward decrees that she needs a beatdown to learn some respect. Suddenly, the room door is kicked in with a violent crash. Quickly, a medical team rushes in, desperately asking about the patient's condition. Yelling, the head doctor orders them to check the vital signs immediately. Caught by surprise, the tattooed loan shark doesn't understand the sudden invasion by the team. Letting go of the girl, the criminal says that's all for today and demands the payment deadline before bailing. Confused, the medical team notices that the vital signs are normal and comments that a student reported a serious emergency. Still scared, the young woman connects the dots about who intentionally called the doctors. Standing in the hallway, our protag watches the entire scene in silence. Soon after, the room door closes very slowly. While walking through the corridors, the hero ironically notes the beautiful display of true friendship he just witnessed. Right beside him, the ghost of the ex-leader appears with a dark expression. Dry and direct, the entity tells the new kid to shut his mouth for once. Exuding a crushing aura of pure fury, the former demon king walks, grinding his teeth. Underneath all that anger, a single tear runs down the betrayed monster's face. Completely destroyed on the inside, the deceased demands that the boy stop talking about that subject. Back to harsh reality, the facade of Demon High rises imposingly on the horizon. Sitting on a bench, the lackey with glasses repeats the thug's name with a doubtful expression. Soon, the chubby guy confirms that the gang is from their own school and asks about the guy's reputation. Wanting to suck up, the goon questions if the new leader is already planning his next targets. According to the allies' explanation, the school was dominated by the demon family until the accident, and is now divided into several factions. Being the largest and most dangerous of them all, the Under-Over gang currently rules the area. Heeding this giant faction, the brutal Gold Bucket assumes the position of the current top dog. In an exaggerated bow, the lackey ends the military report for the new kid. Pensive, our protag finds the blondie extremely suspicious, since he truly hated the old king. Curious, the hero wonders if teenagers make any real cash forming this kind of school mafia. Sighing deeply, the kid tries to process so much confusion on his first day. To get a clear answer, he asks what the official business of this so-called faction is. Suddenly, cries of a hunt echo through the courtyard as a crowd corners someone. Stealthily, the duo spies on the commotion, hidden behind a wall. In a desperate leap, the former red-haired president flees with his clothes all dirty. Landing out of breath, the ex-bully tries to catch his breath after the run. Tired of the chase, he asks why on earth they won't leave him alone. Closing in, the members of the Under-Over gang show off the group's black shirts. With an ironic tone, the raidhead asks if the guys have a crush on him to be following him so much. Full of mockery, one of the goons retorts, wanting to know the reason for the constant running. Unexpectedly, a blue fan opens, demanding payment of the overdue debt immediately. Sporting a floral shirt, the executive Park Min-soo appears to collect from the deadbeat client. Ironically, the chubby mafioso starts calculating the initial debt of 10 million plus the absurd interest. By the dirty calculation, the amount jumps to 30 million, leaving our protag in shock back in his hiding spot. Without losing his cool, the raidhead smirks and says he doesn't have a single penny in his pocket. Sighing with boredom, the executive grumbles that he expected that answer from trash like him. Straight to the point, the collector offers to clear the debt if the ex-president becomes an official member of the gang. In a restrained laugh, the redhead can't handle the joke and lets out a chuckle. Soon, the chuckle turns into a hysterical laugh in the middle of the enemy circle. Facing the faction, the bully makes it clear that he would never accept such nonsense. With pure provocation, the target questions if the idea is to become an obedient little dog like the goons present. Annoyed by the insult, one of the thugs blindly charges to smash the loudmouth's face. Flashing a sharp smile, the target dodges the attack with zero effort. In a lethal counterattack, the redhead's fist sinks into the aggressor's stomach. From the force of the blow, the goon falls flat on his face in the dirt. From then on, the ex-president's expression changes to pure hatred, showing he's not there to play games. In an explosive advance, the redhead charges with everything he's got at the mafioso in the floral shirt. Stomping firmly on the ground, the fighter closes the distance in the blink of an eye. However, the chubby guy blocks the heavy punch using only his forearm with extreme ease. Behind the impenetrable defense, the collector lets out a demonic chuckle. Mocking the situation, the executive points out that the attack lost all its force due to the opponent's bandaged leg. Grabbing the redhead's collar, the mafioso decrees that weak punches like that don't work on him. With a dirty sweep, the chubby guy's foot takes out the ex-president's support base. Thanks to the inevitable fall, the aggressor throws the target's body straight to the ground. In a violent thud, the fighter's back collides with the hard concrete. Without giving him time to breathe, a brutal kick hits the fallen man's face. Seeing the opening, the entire gang jumps on him, mercilessly stumping the poor guy. Hidden in the corner, our protag watches the cowardice in absolute silence. In the hero's mind, the name of his old rival echoes, bringing back fresh memories. Recalling the redhead's malicious deeds, the boy concludes that the current beating is well deserved. But a sudden weight on his conscience soon alters our protagonist's expression. Spitting blood on the ground, the redhead suffers from the brutal impact of the cowardly attack. Fallen in the middle of the circle, the ex-president tries to catch his breath as the gang surrounds the area. With his hand on his chin, the chubby mafioso scoffs, saying he was going to recruit the guy but now finds him pathetic. Without bowing his head, the fighter spits and throws it in his face that if his leg were fine, he would have knocked out the boss with the first punch. Surprised by the swagger, the executive remembers the detail of the fracture in his left leg. Looking at the victim, the collector sadistically confirms the enemy's blind spot. Yelling, the leader orders his goons to hold the redhead down hard on the asphalt. Suddenly, a heavy hand grabs a loose brick from the scene. Cold and calculating, the chubby guy warns that leaving the body unbalanced is a grave mistake in a fight. With the brick held high, the mafioso decides to break the other leg to make the boy symmetrical. Unexpectedly, a cry for help cuts through the air, telling everyone to stop right there. Pointing a trembling finger, the blonde lackey with glasses tries to intimidate the entire gang from the warehouse door. Behind him, our protag's eyes widen, unable to believe his goon's suicidal stupidity. Full of second-hand embarrassment, the hero turns his face, wanting to disappear as quickly as possible. Faced with the bizarre interruption, the entire faction stares at the meddler in a deathly silence. Confused by the supposed rescue, the injured redhead asks if the nerdy boy is someone's lackey. Posing, the chubby guy with glasses brags about being number 2 in the class and demands total respect. In a lightning-fast crack, a thug's shoe sole smashes the cocky nerd's face. From the force of the kick, the fake tough guy goes flying and crashes right into the iron shelves. Giving no chance for defense, the thugs stomp the poor guy on the ground without any mercy. To avoid getting hit, our hero tries to sneak out backward. Sweating nervously, the kid thinks the best tactic here is to call a teacher and bail. Out of nowhere, the bloodied nerd yells for his boss to stop right where he is. With his face all beat up, the lackey gives a thumbs up and guarantees he'll handle the mess himself. Standing at the door, the new kid hears his goon plead for the leader not to get his hands dirty. Annoyed with the little show, the executive in the floral shirt orders his troops to end this game already. Immediately, one of the thugs charges with everything he's got at the retreating hero. With wide eyes, the student realizes that he's stuck in this mess one way or another. With a violent crash, the clenched fist hits the target with crushing force. Launched through the air, the aggressor tumbles backward right into the warehouse. Utterly stunned, the chubby mafioso doesn't understand how his own goon flew so far. With firm steps, the new kid enters the shed, brandishing his covered arm like a weapon. In a quick move, the thugs close in, facing the new threat. Furious with the interruption, the executive glares at the freshman with a look full of hatred. Thrown on the asphalt, the redhead and the nerd watch their partner's epic entrance. After sliding the heavy metal door, the kid locks the only way out of the place. With a dry click, the lock decrees that no one else enters or escapes that space. From behind a dark aura, a macabre smile splits our protagonist's face. Alone against the entire gang, the boy's crushing presence dominates the warehouse. With a hand on the back of his neck, the hero grumbles that the unprovoked blow to his head is still ringing. Full of swagger, the new kid announces that the beatdown came at a great time. In a smooth move, the boy dodges a surprise punch aimed at his own face. Mercilessly, the cast punch rises, destroying the aggressor's chin with a colossal impact. Thrown backward, the thug plummets, knocked out in the middle of the mess. Ready for the beatdown, the hero displays his improvised weapon and gets into a fighting stance. Beckoning with his free hand, the freshman calls the thugs to combat. Through a devilish smile, he guarantees that he urgently needs to relieve some built-up stress. Confused by the audacity, the lone shark wants to know what the kid's lame strategy is. Straight up, the chubby guy points out that the numerical advantage is 4 against 1. With a confident step, our protag advances, ignoring the math of the brawl. Suddenly, the injured redhead gets up and corrects the count, stating that the fight is 4 against 2. Wiping blood from his mouth, the nerd also gets to his feet and throws his own name into the ring. Making fun of his colleague, the ex-president grumbles that the lackey only counts as half a fighter. Completely out of patience, the hero cuts off the side conversation, yelling for everyone to focus. In a suicidal attack, the unlikely trio charges furiously at the mafiosos. Caught by surprise, the executive in the floral shirt's eyes widen at the sheer courage. Immediately, the gang's front line prepares for the brutal clash. Suddenly, the faction leader's voice cuts through the room, telling his own troops to stop. Turning his back out of nowhere, the chubby guy fans himself and orders a strategic retreat. Cold as ice, the mafioso justifies the escape by saying he doesn't get into fights that don't generate money. Over his shoulder, the executive casts a deadly glare filled with fury. In a tone of a dark promise, the loan shark swears he will perfectly remember each of their faces. Far from that shed, the atmosphere at Demon High remains heavy and full of dirty secrets. In a chat later, the nerd explains that the faction controls the monopoly on local betting. Walking through the courtyard, the hero discovers that the gang profits from any type of illegal gambling at the school. Alarmed by the size of the scheme, the new kid asks if the guy's income comes only from betting commissions. With his face bandaged, the readhead reveals that the faction's real gold mine is pure loan sharking. Through professional fake contracts, the thugs force students to steal their own family's official stamps. With no sense of math, the desperate teenagers take the money and fall right into the trap. In a web of surreal interest rates, the debt grows until it completely swallows the victim. Smiling faintly, the ex-president warns that the real nightmare begins exactly at the moment of bankruptcy. Using money as a leash, the loan sharks force the kids to commit crimes on the street to pay off the debt. With nowhere to run, the bankrupt debtors are forcibly recruited as disposable goons. Currently, the criminal organization boasts more than 50 official members under the Underover banner. Faced with this veritable army, it's obvious that the school has become the headquarters of a dangerously powerful mafia syndicate. Taking a drag from his cigarette with swagger, the blonde boss drops a canned phrase praising the power of money. Lounging on the headquarters sofa, the mafioso flaunts his gold watch in his king of the world pose. To show who's really in charge, the loan shark uses the back of a kneeling student as a footrest. Mercilessly, a kick explodes in the debtor's face for taking too long to answer, while the poor guy begs for forgiveness. Directly from the thug's dirty hands, an abusive loan contract appears in the scene. Blaming the victim himself, the blondie throws it in his face that the kid stamped the paper on his own. In just his underwear and trembling with fear, the student cries, saying he doesn't have a single penny. Behind the cigarette smoke, the brute's sadistic gaze freezes the terrifying atmosphere. Dryly and threateningly, the coward extends his arm, demanding the debtor's hand. Caught by surprise, the kid stares at the live ember of the cigarette, already expecting the physical punishment. Taking one last drag, the boss readies the lit butt to burn the target's skin. Trembling in terror, the victim extends his empty palms, accepting the torture. With a malicious smile, the loan shark says there's another cruel way to pay the debt. In the middle of the psychological torture, the thug decrees that the student has just become his new slave. Fleeing desperately in his underwear down the hallway, the kid hears the order to salute at school every day. Inside the steel safe, piles of dirty money and blood-stained contracts accumulate. With a metallic clang, the heavy door locks the stolen treasure of the Underover faction. Staring at the ceiling, the tattooed blondie demands updates from his goons with the most bored expression. Soon, the executive in the floral shirt updates the boss about the failure against the trio from Class 1-4. Annoyed by the failure to collect, the leader orders his subordinate to solve the problem and bring the cash immediately. Giving the boss a casual pat on the shoulder, the chubby guy asks him to calm down in this tense moment. Behind his glasses, the mafioso's expression changes to a smile full of pure evil. Agreeing with the boss, the underworld suit promises a clean and well-done job. Curious about the plan, the blondie asks for the next step and hears that the brutal tactic will be the same as always. Thirsty for blood, the leader decrees that it's time to teach the newbies the true terror of being in debt. Far from that dark shed, the scene cuts to the illuminated sidewalk of a convenience store. In a burst of courage, the red-haired ex-president jumps up, promising to crush the entire gang and break their boss's head. Devouring instant noodles, our protag just listens to his injured ally's fury. Going over the details of the loan sharking, the nerd gets irritated when the hero says this war isn't his problem. Revolted by the passive response, the lackey with glasses points his finger and calls his partner a wimp in front of everyone. Under a shower of insults from the nerd, the protagonist focuses only on the information about the heavy loan sharking. Trying to understand the motivation, the kid mentally wonders why the deceased would have borrowed cash. Unexpectedly, his vision focuses on the store's cashier and finds the deceased's sister working in a uniform. Totally caught off guard, our hero jumps back in pure shock. Dry and direct, the girl questions his presence there while the boy stutters a lame excuse. Taking the initiative, the new kid gets serious and calls the young woman for a private conversation. In a dark alley, a stray cat calmly eats food from a makeshift bowl. Through the thick smoke of a cigarette, the scene reveals a secret, rebellious habit. Crouched on the asphalt, the girl smokes in hiding while feeding the hungry feline. Out of the corner of her eye, the young woman notices the student's silent approach. Holding a can of soda, the hero breaks the ice, asking what she's doing there in the dark. In a friendly gesture, the kid tosses her a drink and says it's on the house. Chugging the soda, the new kid analyzes the girl's delicate features. Doubting she's related to that ugly monster, With his cheeks slightly red, the boy confesses to himself that the girl is really cute. To start the serious talk, he brings up the slap he got at the hospital, and the young woman agrees with the utmost naturalness. Holding no grudge, the protag brushes off the slap and says the situation that day was easy to misinterpret. Complaining about his own luck, the kid says that getting beat up has become routine since he set foot in that cursed school. Wanting to play the peacemaker, the new kid dismisses any kind of apology from her. Crushing the boy's morale, the young woman retorts bluntly that she doesn't feel an ounce of remorse for the aggression. With a blank face, the hero freezes in place, not knowing how to respond to the rudeness. Swallowing his pride, he mentally grumbles that this nasty attitude is living proof of her kinship with the Demon King. Sharp with her words, the girl asks if they're friends but quickly dismisses the idea, calling the hero a loser. Pressing him against the wall, the sister firmly questions what the new kid was looking for in the hospital room. Faced with the interrogation, our protag falls silent, searching for the right answer. Changing the tone of the conversation, the boy drops the bomb and asks if she really believes the car crash was a normal accident. Totally in shock, the girl's huge, clear eyes widen as she processes the insinuation of murder. Suddenly, the bell on the convenience store's glass door rings loudly, breaking the silence. Because of the noise, a customer appears at the back door, yelling for the empty register. Cold as ice, the girl violently crushes the cigarette butt on the asphalt. Turning her back, the young woman says she needs to get back to work as the hero desperately tries to continue the conversation. Refusing to end the chat, our protag takes a step forward and says he also has vital questions. Hitting a raw nerve, the boy questions the exact reason she took dirty money from the loan shark gold bucket. Paralyzed at the door, the black-haired young woman freezes with her back to the new kid. Dry and rude, the girl tells the hero to mind his own business and enters the store, slamming the door. Alone in the alley, the kid sighs heavily, feeling the weight of the monumental rejection. Suddenly, the dark figure of the ghost appears behind the hero with its head down. With an expression of pure guilt, the ghost confesses that the entire debt was taken out because of him. In the dead guy's memory, medical bills appear, showing the absurd price of the hospital stay. Adding up the costs of the feeding tube and the bed, the bill exceeds 1,000,000 won, while the girl hands out flyers on the street. To try to pay for the treatment, the younger sister pulls all-nighters stocking the cold convenience store shelves. On top of that, the bill for lung treatment only increases, forcing the girl to wash piles of dishes at another manual labor job. Thanks to bed sore prevention and vital sign monitoring, the debt skyrockets while the young woman makes dangerous motorcycle deliveries in the middle of the night. Due to the price of basic medications, the hospital became a financial black hole. Trapped in bed by machines, the destroyed monster's body survives on this inhuman sacrifice. Completely exhausted, the warrior sister sleeps curled up on a makeshift gurney next to the brother she's trying to keep alive. Staring into the hospital room through the glass, the hero reflects in absolute silence. Beside him, the ghost deduces that the money borrowed from Gold Bucket was all to pay the sky high medical expenses. Full of guilt, the ex-king laments being the only older brother and, instead of protecting his sister, only caused trouble. In his thoughts, the kid praises the willpower of the girl, who is the same age as him. Suddenly, the ghost tells his partner to stop with those ideas, and the new kid doesn't understand the warning. With pure brutality, the spirit squeezes the student's cheeks, complaining about the lovey-dovey tone directed at his sister. Stretching the poor guy's face, the jealous one warns that the young woman is not for a loser like him. From the force of the squeeze, the protagonist's face gets completely squished. Losing his patience, the boy tells the deceased to shut up and demands he do something to save the girl. With a confident smile, the legend says he was just waiting for the hero to take the initiative. In a serious tone, the monster calls the new kid's name, confirming the call to the mission. Back at Demon High, the duo sets off to solve the financial problem. In the school hallways, a row of lockers becomes the main target. With a quick click, the combination lock is easily unlocked. Before them, the metal door opens, revealing the darkness inside. Inside the dark compartment, a real treasure awaits the two. By the gleam of metal, a very expensive luxury watch catches the eye immediately. Right next to it, a heavy silver necklace shows the level of bling. In a pile of wealth, designer glasses and bracelets crowd the back of the locker. Shocked by the fortune, the hero asks where all this school luxury came from. Straight to the point, the ghost explains that selling all of it would cover the debt, but as a spirit, he can't do anything. Lowering his head, the proud ex-leader stutters, begging the boy to give the money to his sister. In an almost inaudible whisper, the word please comes from the entity's mouth. Making fun of the situation, the new kid mocks the great demon king for asking for a favor. Sighing deeply, the student agrees to help sell the goods. Behind him, the ghost swears he didn't steal anything, while the kid judges his partner's criminal record. Walking down the hall, the hero says he'll post everything on the used marketplace today. Suddenly, a scream echoes in the hallway, calling for the leader. Running desperately, the limping redhead and the nerdy guy with glasses appear in a panic. Out of patience, our protag complains about the rush and says again that he's not anyone's big bro. Not understanding the desperation, the new kid asks the reason for such a hurry. Grabbing the boss's arm, the two subordinates yell that they need to run right now. Completely sweaty, the nerd with glasses warns of the imminent danger. Standing still, the hero questions who they're running from. Suddenly, a heavy sound of footsteps floods the school hallway. At the speed of the run, dozens of sneakers hit the floor at the same time. With wide eyes, the protagonist finally realizes the size of the problem. In a black wave, the entire Under-Over gang invades the floor like an avalanche. In absolute panic, the freshman yells, asking what this madness is. Complaining of pain in his broken leg, the redhead warns that the trio is totally screwed. Adjusting his glasses, the nerd reveals that a bounty has been placed on their heads. Far away, the tattooed loan shark relaxes on the sofa, sending an emergency notice to the faction. On the cell phone screens, the sadistic game summons members to hunt the golden goblins. According to the wanted poster, the nerd is worth 500,000, the redhead 1 million, and the hero leads with 1.5 million. Pressing the send button, the chubby executive promises cash to whoever catches the hidden trio. Full of arrogance, the chubby guy shows the boss how to command a real army. Through a simple click, the suit claims that crushing the 3 insects is too easy. In the hallway, the crowd of thugs spots the targets and advances, drooling over the reward. With a malicious smile, the blonde leader recalls his promise to show the true terror of money. Driven by greed, the troop of goons runs like zombies toward the trio. Grabbing his own hair, the nerd cries in desperation, accepting the end of his life. Trying to maintain his cool, the redhead gives a faint smile, saying the game has lost its fun. With a double thwack, our protag smacks both partners on the head. With a serious face, the new kid tells the duo to stop their premature whining. Cold and focused, he decrees that they are all in the same leaky boat now. Without retreating an inch, the nerd warns that the allies better follow his lead if they don't want to get taken out. Face to face with the horde of thugs, the trio assumes a combat stance. Staring down the fury of the bounty hunters, the tension in the hallway reaches its peak. Sporting an insane smile, the hero clenches his fists and promises to crack everyone's skull in there. Suddenly, one of the goons' cell phones starts vibrating like crazy in the middle of the attack. On the other end of the line, the chubby mafioso complains about the delay in capturing the targets. Snapping his blue fan shut, the executive's patience reaches its limit. Yelling into the phone, the collector curses the goons, asking what that lame excuse is. Indignant at the incompetence, the boss yells upon learning that the entire troop needs urgent backup. Right on the battlefield, a devastating punch rips through the air. In an absurd sequence of blows, the gang's front line is decimated. From the perfect impact, one of the hunters has his face smashed in mid-advance. With pure boxing talent, the redhead sinks his fist into the enemy's chin. Due to the explosion of the blow, the thug flies far away, landing hard on the ground. Swaying his body, the ex-president celebrates the deadly combo by mimicking a revolver with his hands. Frightened by the target's strength, the thugs in the rear take a step back. Noticing the massacre up front, one of the goons yells for the rest of the troop to retreat immediately. Stealthily, two hands grab a pair of hoodie strings in the middle of the confusion, pulling with brute force. The nerd displays a devilish smile as he chokes the enemy's neck. In the middle of absolute chaos, the Under-Over gang collapses, taking a real beating from the relentless trio. In an explosive attack, our protag lands a brutal uppercut right on the enemy's chin. With blood in his eyes, the boy focuses entirely on survival in the midst of the chaos. Grabbed by a hooded goon, the nerdy guy with glasses yells for the guy to let him go. Without giving him time to breathe, the hero jumps and brings his heel down on the aggressor's head. From the crushing force of the blow, the thug kisses the floor and is knocked out instantly. After landing softly, the kid adjusts his posture, ready for the next target. With a sigh of relief, the new kid celebrates taking down the main obstacle. Thrown on the floor, the goon becomes just another body in the pile of defeated foes. From afar, the red-haired ex-president finds the maneuver simply impressive. According to the upperclassman's read, the freshman used the enemy as a human shield to block the group. Thanks to this brilliant tactic, the boy isolated the fight, forcing one-on-one combat. With absurd reflexes, the hero made this risky decision in a fraction of a second. Faced with this display of pure skill, the redhead accepts that his defeat was not mere bad luck. With a smirk, the new kid proves to everyone that he's a true monster. Full of anger at the resistance, one of the brutes charges, snorting, at the trio. In a sequence of heavy punches, the giant smashes the redhead, demanding to know the reason for so much swagger. With a violent uppercut, the big guy launches the upperclassman into the air, sending his glasses flying. With his mouth full of blood, the ex-president suffers the brutal blow. Far away, two goons hold the cowardly nerd to give him a merciless beating. At the last second, the redhead jumps and lands an explosive headbutt right on the giant. From the thunderous sound, the brute's nose is completely smashed on impact. Taking advantage of the opening, The unlikely duo takes down the aggressors with bizarre synchronization. Covered in blood, the orange-haired leader mocks his own iron resistance. Annoyed with the orders, the nerd retorts, telling his colleague to shut up and not give his opinion. With a sadistic and maniacal smile, our protagonist tells his allies to focus on the brawl. Around them, the hallway floor looks like a veritable cemetery of fallen goons. Surprised by the damage, the hero counts only 3 enemies standing and realizes he's already scared off 20 guys. From the edges, murmurs of terror take over the remaining thugs. Suddenly, the stairwell door is thrown open, revealing a new wave of hunters. In total shock, the nerd questions how on earth this faction has so many people hidden away. Confused by the newcomers, the raid head doesn't understand the presence of normal students in the gang. Full of greed, the boys yell that the group's reward has just doubled. On the cell phone screens, the double experience event shines, summoning the entire school. Because of the insane bonus, the bounty on the 3 goblins' heads rises to an incredible 6 million won. With a simple click, the trio's fate is sealed, and the hunt becomes a lucrative sport. Sitting on the luxurious sofa, the mafioso Gold Bucket philosophizes about the supreme power of cash. With a devilish smile, the loan shark guarantees that dirty money buys anyone's loyalty at the school. Blind with hatred, our protag curses the tattooed blondie for being a coward and sending his army in his place. Facing the crowd, the hero tells the duo to run for their lives at once. Paralyzed by desperation, the kid realizes the hallway has been blocked by human cockroaches. Unexpectedly, the ghost of the deceased Demon King reappears in the middle of the chaos, drawing attention. With his finger outstretched, the ghost shows the only possible way out of that trap. With his back to the commotion, the student focuses on a fire hose cabinet on the wall. In an absurd leap of faith, the window glass shatters, and the 3 throw themselves out of the building. During the descent on the makeshift rope, the allied duo lets out a laugh of pure adrenaline. Hanging from the hose, the trio of madmen descends the 4 floors of the school on sheer grit. Once on the sidewalk, they try to catch their breath after escaping doom by a hair's breadth. Full of admiration, the nerd praises the boss's craziness for jumping from the 4th floor without hesitation. Ignoring the suck up, the hero grumbles, worried about the number of indebted kids at the school. In a defeated tone, the redhead confirms that the school has become a chessboard manipulated by the lone shark. Faced with the truth, the protag concludes that without money, the debt is paid with one's own blood. Without saying another word, the kid takes off, leaving his allies behind on the street. A short time later, the facade of a luxury pawn shop appears in the scene. Holding a thick wad of bills, the new kid displays the hard-earned money from selling the jewelry. Indignant at the price, the ghost yells, demanding an explanation for selling the fortune so cheaply. Focused on the escape, the boy ignores the legend's fit and focuses only on the main objective. With the mission in mind, the student picks up the pace, determined to pay off the hospital debt. Far away, the black-haired young woman drives her delivery scooter, feeling a terrible premonition. With a loud noise, the scooter's brakes screech, stopping on the street of a poor neighborhood. Without her heavy helmet, the girl lets out a sigh of exhaustion, ready for another thankless delivery. In front of the facade of an old building, the young woman laments the excess of stairs. Through the dark and silent corridors, she carries the customer's dinner with great difficulty. With 2 knocks on door number 401, the worker waits for an answer. With the fast food bag in hand, the girl announces the delivery politely. As soon as the lock opens, a spoiled customer lets out a grunt of unprovoked anger. Completely out of control, the diva yells, accusing the delivery girl of bringing the wrong order. Keeping her cool, the Demon King's sister checks the package and says the extra drink is there. Ready for a fight, the troublemaker screams, insulting the worker's intelligence for no reason. In absolute silence, the young woman lowers her head, enduring the insult quietly. To prove she's right, the delivery girl holds up the receipt, showing the exact order. Unwilling to listen, the rude customer tells the girl to complain directly to the restaurant. In an arrogant attitude, the lady crosses her arms without the slightest empathy for the delivery girl. In a gesture of pure malice, the woman throws the bag of fried chicken on the floor, destroying the food. Before slamming the door, the spoiled brat demands that the loss come out of the poor young woman's salary. In a quick reflex, the delivery girl puts her hand on the door, questioning the justice of that humiliation. With wide eyes, the young woman realizes the trap too late. Suddenly, dozens of hands emerge from the darkness, grabbing her uniform. With pure cowardice, a group of girls pulls the delivery girl inside the apartment. With no chance to react, the girl is violently dragged into the trap. With a loud slam, the door bangs shut, locking the victim in the dark hallway. Thrown face down on the floor, the girl's body suffers the impact of the ambush. Surrounded by the bullies, the hostage hears that the fried chicken order was just a bait. With a smile full of malice, the gang leader reveals that the real target was always the deceased sister. Without bowing her head, the heroine dryly questions what this scum wants with her. With her phone in hand, recording everything, the short-haired girl demands cash. On the device's screen, the video call displays the true mastermind of the crime. Full of sadism, the mafioso gold bucket collects the overdue debt with interest and mockery. Far away, the facade of the central hospital appears under the daylight. In a desperate break-in, our protag bursts into the room, screaming the girl's name. To the hero's terror, the place is completely empty, with only the ex-king's body left on the gurney. Sitting in the chair, the new kid decides to wait for the girl's arrival with the money from the jewelry sale. Unaware of the danger, the ghost plans how to deliver the cash while the hero feels a tense chill. Confused by the heavy atmosphere, the spirit asks where this bizarre bad feeling is coming from. With a stern face, the student stares into the void, realizing that something has gone very wrong. Back in captivity, the loan shark recalls the cruel rule of paying the debt with one's own body. Without a shred of fear, the young woman glares at the phone screen with pure hatred. Through the magical connection of their souls, the ghost in the hospital's eyes widen, sensing his sister's danger. In the center of the room, a professional camera is set up on a tripod to record the disgusting act. In a mocking tone, the thug says that honest work will never pay the faction's absurd interest rates. Over the video call, the disgusting blondie claims that movies of that kind make a fortune on the internet. Cold as ice, the prisoner just watches the circus of horrors being set up by the cowards. With a disgusting smile, the mafia leader tells the gang to do a good job recording the crime. With a dry beep, the call is ended, leaving the girl at the gang's mercy. From the bully's aggressive advance, the order for immediate obedience echoes in the room. Full of malice, the group leader tells the delivery girl to take off her clothes in front of the lens. In absolute silence, the girl faces the group without showing any sign of desperation. In a calm motion, the hostage grabs the zipper of her own jacket. With a metallic sound, the delivery jacket begins to be opened. Laughing in victory, the cowards think the victim has finally bowed her head. Frustrated by the supposed obedience, the leader confesses she always hated the girl's attitude. Upon removing the jacket, the young woman reveals a sports top and arms defined by hard work. With a firm voice, the warrior warns that the bunch of idiots didn't understand a thing. Facing the danger, the girl explains that surviving as the Demon King's sister requires brutal preparation. In an immediate reflex, the jacket is thrown with full force at the criminals. By the surprise of the attack, the cloth completely blinds the main bully's vision. Without wasting time, a violent front kick explodes in the blindfolded aggressor's stomach. Thanks to the crushing impact, the criminal flies far, hitting her back against the wall. With a perfect combat stance, the young woman proves that fighter's blood runs in her veins. Yelling, the other girls charge, cursing the victim for being crazy. In a perfect dodge, the ex-king's sister mocks the pathetic slowness of the attack. With a quick block, the girl locks the enemy's wrist and tells her to use her fists instead of slapping. Through a practical lesson, the young woman teaches her to rotate her hips to gain pressure in the blow. Focusing on brute force, the instruction is to throw the body's weight directly into the punch. With a lethal crash, the delivery girl's fist mercilessly smashes the bully's face. In desperation, the last coward standing grabs an empty glass bottle from the floor. Yelling, the thug tries to land a dirty bottle strike on the heroine's head. With a master's reflex, the young woman leans her body, escaping the glass by a hair's breadth. In a spectacular counterattack, an axe kick comes down like a meteor, cracking the aggressor's skull. With a soft landing, the warrior adjusts her posture in the midst of the destruction. Thrown on the rug, the three thugs' bodies groan in pain, completely annihilated. Picking up her jacket from the floor, the girl agrees that growing up alongside that monster had its advantages. With her hands in her hair, the young woman confesses that even before learning to use utensils to eat, the first survival lesson at home was to learn how to fight and beat up enemies. Suddenly, the electronic lock on the apartment door starts beeping from the outside. With a frightening click, the doorknob turns, revealing that the real danger has just arrived. Through the open door, a gang of tattooed brutes invades the scene, announcing that the main actors have arrived. Caught completely by surprise, the girl's eyes widen, realizing the colossal physical disadvantage. In a brutal advance, the goon leader knocks the young woman to the floor with a heavy thud. Full of fury, the prisoner screams, demanding that the scum get their paws off her. With pure cowardice, the giant lands a closed fist punch to the victim's face to force submission. Right after wiping away the trickle of blood, the girl continues to glare at the aggressors with a killer look. With a disgusting expression, the big tattooed guy mocks the impressive bravery of the immobilized prisoner. With a sharp slap, the monster declares that feisty girls are his favorite type. From the overwhelming force of the aggression, the young woman's face turns with extreme violence. With no strength to react, the girl's battered body slumps to the floor of the trap. With a psychopath's smile, the operations boss orders the door locked and the camera turned on immediately. Baring his disgusting teeth, the thug announces that the bizarre show is about to begin. Fallen on the floor, the warrior loses hope as the coward promises to start the recording right at the climax. Outside in the dark hallway, the sound of casual whistling cuts through the heavy tension of the room. With loud bangs on the locked door, the shadow of our protag appears, ready to start the final massacre. With a suspicious noise at the door, the tattooed boss turns his head, suspicious. With a violent stomp, a boot sinks into the wood from the outside. From the absurd force of the impact, the door is kicked in, sending the goon flying. Frightened by the explosion, the leader yells, wanting to know who has arrived. Holding the doorframe, the hero's voice coldly announces that the delivery has arrived. Facing the gang of thugs, the protag promises to crack the head of every insect in the room. Clenching his fist with hatred, the promise of pain is sealed. With blood in his eyes, the new kid decrees that he's going to send everyone straight to heck. In an explosive advance, the boy charges forward, closing the distance. In recent memory, the ghost guided the desperate run, warning that the trap was a block away. Surprised by the technology, the spirit scoffs at the family tracking app on the phone. With a serious expression, the legend confesses that the girl is the only real family he has. Faced with the sincere revelation, the student absorbs the weight of the mission. In the final run through the streets, the hero vows to handle the situation with his own hands. Back in the present, the apartment door flies into pieces from the freshman's kick. Dodging an attack, the kid hears the female thug complain about the aggressive entrance. Suddenly, the boy's gaze freezes in terror at the scene. Thrown on the floor, the unconscious girl's body breaks the hero's heart. From the bizarre scene, the crime scene reveals the victim surrounded by psychos, and the camera running. Standing at the door, the new kid's shadow projects a murderous fury into the room. Curious about the invasion, the brute focuses his vision on the intruder's chest. On the red tag, the transfer student's name glows in the dim light. In whispers, the bullies recognize the freshman who smashed the class president. Taken over by pure hatred, the protagonist exudes a heavy, demonic energy. Confused by the high rank, the tattooed boss questions the hero's presence there. With a heavy step, one of the goons decides to test his luck and approaches. Whispering among themselves, the thugs agree to attack right away, and without warning. Gritting his teeth, the new kid holds back his explosion of rage by a thread. Grabbing a metal fork, the troublemaker scoffs, thinking the hero is the hostage's boyfriend. Mercilessly, the coward raises the improvised weapon to stab the fallen victim's face. Paralyzed by shock, the kid hears the threat to destroy the girl's face. With no choice, the fighter opens his guard and lowers his fists. Turning his back, the hero pretends to leave the apartment. Faced with the sudden retreat, the thugs are completely confused. Laughing, the gang leader celebrates the supposed easy victory over the loser. Yelling, the villainess orders her goons to grab the runner in the dark hallway. Outside, the new kid quickly grabs a red surprise from the wall. Sticking their heads out the door, the big guys look for the target on the staircase. With a heavy fire extinguisher in his hands, the trap is set. In a violent jet, the chemical smoke completely blinds the two brutes. Trapped in the room, the bully's eyes widen in total panic. In the middle of the toxic fog, the hero assumes a stance while his enemies cough nonstop. In an explosive leap, the sole of his shoe cuts through the white smoke toward the target. From the force of the blow, the goon flies far, hitting his back on the asphalt. Falling hard, the thug loses consciousness without even understanding where the blow came from. In the lethal sequence, another stomp comes down like an anvil from the sky. With a dull thud, the second big guy drops, knocked out in the smoke. Right in the face, the tattooed boss eats a merciless rain of punches. Surviving the combo, the giant tries to maintain his base in the middle of the blinding fog. Annoyed by the chemical, the coward yells, demanding a fair one-on-one fight without weapons. Paying no mind, the new kid advances with firm, silent steps. Cold as ice, the boy says that a fair fight is only for human beings. Given the level of cruelty shown there, the hero demotes the entire gang to a pack of animals. In a blind punch, the big guy thinks he hit the target in the fog. Tearing through only air, the brute's fist passes completely through empty space. In reality, the protag ignored the boss and sank his fist into the face of the girl with the fork. Spinning his body in the air, the hero prepares the true fatal blow on the leader's back. Recalling the request for a fight without weapons, the kid seethes with rage in mid-air. Faced with the imminent attack, the mafioso realizes the magnitude of his suicidal mistake. In the protagonist's hands, a heavy metal frying pan proves that rules don't exist against trash. In a thunderous impact, the pan smashes the boss's skull, proving that even the hero's fists are too precious to touch that scum. Suddenly, memory travels to a sad, gray funeral with incense burning. In front of the altar, the child version of the sister faces the tragedy alone. From the two photos on the memorial, the double death of their parents crushes what's left of the family. In whispers, the gossiping relatives complain about the orphan's fate. Without an ounce of love, the adult's decision is to throw the children into some random orphanage. With her head down, the little girl hears the cruel rejection from her own lineage. In the middle of the darkness, a warm hand grabs her cold little fingers. Side by side, the young demon king takes on the responsibility of caring for his little sister. With a look of pure defiance, the boy promises to fight the entire world for her. Squeezing her brother's hand tightly, the little girl finds her only safe harbor. Back in the present, their hands remain intertwined in an unbreakable connection. Through the warmth of the touch, The young woman desperately tries to find safety. Waking up startled, the girl murmurs, calling for her brother as she squeezes our protagonist's hand. Regaining consciousness on the hospital gurney, the warrior is finally safe from all danger. Worried, the girl asks what happened to the thugs in the trap. Dry and direct, our protag says he returned the beating with interest and corrections. With his hand outstretched, the kid focuses on what really matters now. In a flurry, the hero feels the girl up, asking if she broke or dislocated any bones. In a quick reflex, a violent kick explodes in the fresh student's face. Completely red, the young woman yells, asking what this nonsense is in the middle of the hospital. Regaining her composure, the warrior questions how he found the trap and hears about the tracking app. Confused by the answer, the sister wants to know the relationship between the new kid and the deceased king. Covered in sweat, the boy stutters, trying to come up with an excuse for the bizarre partnership. With the ghost smiling in the background, the hero swears he's the closest person to the former leader. In absolute silence, the girl processes the unusual justification. Tired of the interrogation, the protagonist says he's already leaving. Suddenly, a delicate hand pulls the hem of his uniform shirt. With her head down, the girl quietly asks her savior not to leave yet. In a vulnerable tone, the warrior begs him to stay there just a little longer. Through the room window, the atmosphere finally seems calm and quiet. Lying on the gurney, the young woman sleeps deeply after so much trauma. Through the glass of the door, the unusual duo watches over the sleeping girl. With a sigh of relief, the new kid comments that the girl is out for the count. With his teeth gritted, the ghost seethes with pure hatred. Blind with rage, the spirit tells the hero to lead the way to break every bone in the gang. Cold and calculating, the kid tells the deceased to stop being so hasty. Yelling, the legend warns that his sister's trauma will never go away if they don't annihilate the cowards. In complete agreement, the student proposes to solve the problem the right and definitive way. By pure logic, the protag explains that the thugs defeated so far are just useless goons. To cut the evil at its root, the mission requires taking the head of the under-over faction. Without mincing words, the final target is now the sadistic gold bucket. From behind a murderous aura, the boy decrees they will crush the mafia leader. Far away, a deserted playground serves as the base for a secret meeting at night. Scared by the suicidal plan, the nerdy lackey questions if the new kid really wants to take on the underworld boss. Like a suck-up, the one with glasses praises the boss, but the redhead refuses the mission on the spot. In an attempt to maintain his cool, the ex-president remembers that the new kid himself also owes money to the faction. Without blinking, the hero returns the provocation, asking if the upperclassman plans to run forever. Caught off guard, the orange-haired bully looks away and gulps. To not lose his swagger, the big guy retorts, asking who said he was running. Posing, the redhead tries to hide his terror of the imminent war. Faced with the cowardice, our protag just mentally curses his partner for being an idiot. With the giant sitting sulking, the diagnosis of total foolishness is confirmed in the freshman's head. With no patience, the nerd yells, cursing the redhead for his cowardly attitude. In the middle of a laugh, the ex-leader thinks it's crazy for 3 teenagers to take on the Lone Sharks battalion. With great clarity, the upperclassman explains that every deadbeat in the school has become a soldier for the under-over gang. By the logic of the underworld, the redhead warns that the mafia boss would never accept a fair one-on-one duel. With a confident smile, the hero guarantees they don't need to face the entire army. With his cell phone raised, the plan begins to take shape on the cracked screen. Coldly, the student pronounces the real name of the sadistic gold bucket. To finish the sentence, the kid vows to pay the debt down to the last penny. With a malicious smile, he promises to use the exact same dirty method as the enemy. The next day, the facade of Demon High once again becomes the main stage. In an abandoned shed, the faction's banners mark the territory of evil. Like a gigantic army, dozens of goons await orders from the boss. Suddenly, a sequence of brutal punches erupts in the middle of the crowd. With crushing impacts, several thugs have their faces smashed in. Mercilessly, a third lackey is thrown far away like a rag doll. Thrown into the air, the bodies fall heavily right in front of the mafia bosses. Full of hatred, the tattooed leader yells, wanting to know who had the audacity to invade their lair. In an attempt to appease, the chubby executive calls for calm and dismisses the new kid's invasion. With a violent crack, the loan shark's hand grabs his own advisor's throat. With the chubby guy suspended in the air, the boss asks what the foundation of their business is. Cold as ice, the blondie decrees that reputation is everything, and a single rat can implode the empire. Totally suffocated, the mafioso in the floral shirt's eyes widen, unable to breathe. Right at the tense moment, the cell phone in the leader's pocket starts vibrating. With the device to his ear, the blonde brute rudely asks who's on the line. Straight to the point, the hero's voice identifies itself without an ounce of fear. While walking through the courtyard, the new kid says he'll keep the conversation short. In the bold proposal, the kid offers 30 million won in cash. Over the phone, the student says he calculated the girl's debt with all the abusive interest. With a challenging tone, the The hero proposes to end the war right there with that payment. With a malicious laugh, the boss turns to his army and scoffs at the audacity. Yelling, the mafioso offers 50 million and an executive position to whoever brings the protagonist's head. Holding the device up high, the sadist tells his troops to confirm the new hunting mission. In a deafening roar, dozens of thugs accept the order in unison. Behind a psychopathic smile, the lone shark says he'll hunt the kid to the ends of the earth. Cold and serene, the freshman simply replies that he understood the message. With a monumental crash, the shed doors are violently thrown open. Facing the entire army, the unlikely trio appears, ready for the final battle. Face to face with the trio, the mafia leader displays a look of absolute shock. Right beside him, the chubby executive also freezes, not understanding the suicidal invasion. With a smirk, the nerdy lackey celebrates the enemy's terrified reaction. Straight up, the new kid proposes to settle the matter in a clean one duel. Regaining his composure, the tattooed lone shark scoffs at the audacity, calling the kid crazy. With no patience for games, the blondie yells for his entire troop to crush the invaders. Suddenly, a notification from an unknown number flashes on a goon's screen. In a chain reaction, dozens of cell phones start vibrating like crazy in the shed. Faced with the collective alert, the crowd of thugs freezes, checking the anonymous message. With a simple tap on the screen, the mysterious video starts playing for the entire gang. Through the leaked recording, the faction leader appears delivering cowardly punches. To everyone's surprise, the victim being beaten up in the hospital is the former Demon King. With no chance to defend, the ex-boss's body takes blows on the cold infirmary floor. Full of pride in the footage, the lone shark makes a sadistic vlog, torturing the patient in a coma. From the corners of the arena, the thugs murmur frightened as they recognize the fallen former monster. Within the criminal clip, the blondie screams his own name to sign off on the cruelty. Cold with sweat, the executive in the floral shirt realizes the magnitude of the impending scandal. With his eyes fixed on the screen, the leader glares at his own image committing a serious crime. Due to the exposed stupidity, the real identity of the sadistic gold bucket becomes public knowledge. At the end of the tape, the humiliation of the former king completely tarnishes the lone shark's morale. In a maniacal laugh, the virtual version of the boss ends the horror show. With a dry click, our protag finishes the broadcast of the original file. Like a master of blackmail, the kid says he saved the video in a secure backup. Blind with hatred, the blonde mafioso screams like a madman, demanding to know the origin of that file. Cold as ice, the student retorts that the source doesn't matter, but the damage it will cause does. Using raw blackmail, the new kid asks if he now has enough clout to sit at the boss's table. With his teeth gritted in pure fury, the gang leader accepts the silent checkmate. With a quick nod, the chubby executive agrees to prepare the stage for war. Immediately, the crowd of goons forms a huge circle in the center of the shed. Behind the hero, his allies whisper confused, with no idea of the video's content. To put his cards on the table, the freshman bets 30 million in cash plus the original video. Full of sadism, the mafioso accepts the challenge, promising to rip out the invader's guts. In a classic move, the chubby guy opens his blue fan, declaring the start of the school betting. With the authority of a judge, the advisor proposes the brutal yacha rules for the combat. Without a second thought, the red-haired ex-president steps forward, taking the lead. With his chin held high, the orange-haired upperclassman accepts the challenge on the spot. Face to face in the arena, the boxer faces the executive in the floral shirt. Behind his glasses, the mafioso asks if the first round will be just between the number twos. With the resume on the tip of his tongue, the redhead corrects his rival, stating that the chubby guy is just a boot-licking lackey. With a sigh of mockery, the lone shark grumbles that the insult hurt his feelings. Straight from the spec sheet, the big guy explains that most people there are dogs on a leash, but he's different. With pure confidence, the collector reveals that he was recruited exclusively for his monstrous strength. Direct and offensive, the boxer flips the bird and tells the pig to shut up. With a killer look, the executive officially announces the first round of the annihilation. On the boxer's side, the 10 million bet is confirmed under the bloody rules. In explosive advance, the big mafioso yells, "Let the beatdown begin." With a gigantic punch, the executive's arm rips through the air, seeking the enemy's face. In a perfect dodge, the redhead tilts his head, escaping certain doom. In a smooth slide across the floor, the boxer retreats quickly, maintaining a safe distance. In a taunting tone, the lone shark asks if the broken leg has miraculously healed. With a smirk, the upperclassman denies the full recovery of the fractured bone. Full of confidence, the fighter guesses that his base is only working at 80% strength. To test his ankle, the boxer hops on the balls of his feet, getting into his combat rhythm. Furious with the little dance, the chubby guy charges, throwing punches in a blind rage. Behind the circle, the crowd of thugs is in shock at the boxer's absurd speed. In a state of shock, the king's ghost confesses he knows that style's pressure very well. Straight from the past, The legend praises the flawless footwork the boxer is using in the arena. Focusing on his arms, the spirit highlights the deadly precision of the super fast jabs. Like an invisible whip, the Raidhead's bare knuckles pepper the mafioso executive's chest. With his guard broken, the chubby guy takes a sequence of stinging jabs like a giant mosquito. In a dazed retreat, the collector complains about the hellish pain caused by the short blows. With his eyes closed, the boxer prepares his secret weapon in a meticulously calculated move. Inside the fighter's mind, a revolver cylinder spins, cocking the fatal bullet. With the force originating from the floor, the energy travels up the athlete's legs, straight from the balls of his feet. The pressure climbs through his trained body, through his waist. The destructive impulse gains speed toward his right fist. In a perfect shoulder rotation, the human spring is finally released. Like a cannon shot, the straight punch explodes, breaking the sound barrier. Right in the mafioso's stomach, the colossal blow sinks into the enemy's flesh. Impressed with the technique, the ghost admits that the redhead's combat level is formidable. From the absurd inertia of the attack, the chubby guy slides backward, suffering the impact. However, the dead legend warns that this strength only works against normal people. Confused by the caveat, our protag frowns, not understanding the warning. Suddenly, a giant hand grabs the boxer's wrist, locking his arms retreat. With an immediate counterattack, the executive returns a monstrous punch, freezing the fight for good. With a mocking smile, the chubby suit asks if the redhead thought he was the only ex-athlete around here. Right after, the mafioso's sandal slides across the floor in a quick impulse. Without any warning, the chubby guy grabs the class president's jacket and pulls him in for a throw. Totally in shock, the victim's eyes widen, not understanding what just happened. From the audience, the nerd and the protagonist just watch the impending destruction. From the powerful throw in the air, the orange-haired upperclassman flips upside down towards the ground. Due to the force of the blow, a violent crash echoes throughout the entire shed. Fallen on his back, the boxer is knocked out as the crowd yells that the impact was insane. At the edge of the arena, the crowd is in shock at the fall of the class's number one. Sporting a confident smile, the blonde boss reveals that his goon trained in judo until middle school. In a flashback, the Blue G proves the debt collector's martial arts past. However, his career ended early when the kid was expelled from the sport for extortion and violence. Before the punishment, his talent was undeniable, earning him several gold medals and trophies. On the competition podium, the boy was seen as a bright promise for national judo. Back in the present, the chubby guy ties his black belt, showing he's a true elite athlete. Fanning his face, the mafioso relaxes while his opponent remains sprawled on the floor. Full of swagger, the executive celebrates the perfect move, calling the takedown a clean upon. Staring at the ground, the judoka's gaze mocks the miserable state of the defeated kid. Because of the heavy blow, the boxer's mouth trembles in pure pain. In a quick memory, our protag had warned before the fight that the executive would fight first and delegated the mission. At that time, the president eagerly accepted the task, but was told by the freshman that he would lose badly. Annoyed by the lack of faith, the upperclassman demanded to know what that insult meant. Cold and calculating, the new kid stated that under his ally's current conditions, defeat was certain. Soon the hero adopted a serious posture, asking if his partner really wanted to know why. In the present time, the chubby guy demands the 10 million won from the bet in cash. But the protagonist interrupts the celebration, demanding that the judoka finish the job properly. Completely confused, the suit turns his head, not understanding the warning. Suddenly, a deep coughing sound breaks the silence of the shed, drawing attention. Staggering like a zombie, the redhead swallows blood and painstakingly starts to get up. Displaying a macabre smile, the fighter claims he finally understood his partner's tip. Recalling the conversation, the protag reinforces that his ally is now in control of the situation. Back in the arena, the boxer smiles, confirming that it finally clicked. Amused by the swagger, the lone shark asks if the defeated guy still doesn't understand his disadvantage. Immediately, the redhead points out that the chubby guy is lucky the shed floor is made of wood. Kicking off his sandals, the ex-president's posture completely changes for combat. Assuming a boxing stance, the boy promises to smash the mafioso's head right into the smooth floor. With no time to waste, the executive charges forward, screaming like an out-of-control tractor. Clenching his fists tightly, the upperclassman awaits the initial clash. Seeing it as a predictable move, the lone shark attacks, thinking his opponent's 1-2 punches too obvious. To force his way in, the chubby guy accepts taking a few slaps to the face and advances on pure hatred. Surprised by the iron defense, the redhead is grabbed and grumbles curses, asking for a timeout. Caught in the grip, the boxer takes a shower of blows while the goon complains that a finger poked him right in the eye. With his face covered in blood, the president smirks, saying that was exactly the target. Blinded by the dirty attack, the mafioso's eye waters from the irritation. With an absurd crack, a counter-attack explodes right in the executive's face, tearing the skin. Retreating heavily, the judoka plants his foot on the ground, impressed by the jerk's resilience. Even injured, the boxer prepares another brutal cross to the opponent's face. Face to face at close range, the goon deduces that boxing has no more room to work. Focused on the combat, the chubby guy's bloody gaze shows that the confrontation's level has risen. Suddenly, a lethal impact from above smashes the mafioso's face without warning. Due to the crushing force, the loan shark's huge body plummets violently onto its back on the floor. Fallen and dazed, the executive tries to process what kind of bizarre blow hit him like that. In the thug's mind, the distance made any punch absolutely impossible. Soon, the harsh truth appears, revealing that the impact was a devastating elbow strike to the skull. With his arm raised, the redhead finishes the posture of the lethal move. From above, the ex-president finds this talk of a clean fight in the underworld a joke. Right at his zipper, the boy's hand signals that the real brawl is about to begin. By throwing his jacket on the asphalt, the kid rejects boring tournament rules. Shirtless and flexing his chiseled muscles, the fighter decrees the start of a real street fight. In the past flash, the partner gets irritated, asking why the freshman bet on his defeat. Straight to the point, our hero justifies that the problem is exactly his partner's excess of martial talent. With a dark smile, the freshman completes his reasoning, saying the redhead is an impeccable elite athlete. Marked in history, the judoka's champion resume weighed heavily in the tactical analysis. Due to the brutal training schedule, the routine demanded 3 daily sessions, all year round, without a break. Based on exhausting repetition, the sport forces a painful practice that borders on pure physical abuse. In a mental image, the human body proves that the training is engraved in the muscles, and not just the brain. As a final result of this madness, the sportsman gains machine-like precision and absolute performance. Back in combat, the mafioso advances against the boxer, furious with so much agility in the arena. Full of hatred, the judoka compares his rival to an annoying insect that won't stay still. Focused solely on the capture, the lone shark's sharp eye hunts for the perfect opening in the makeshift ring. Finally, the chubby guy's arm wraps around the opponent's waist, closing the trap for good. Caught in the bear hug, the redhead hears the whisper of his death sentence. With the target dominated, the goon recalls the promise made minutes ago to crush his skull. With an aggressive pull, the preparation to lift the boxer's body is triggered. Through an impeccable hip throw, the chubby guy launches his enemy straight onto the floor with devastating force. Full of fury, the judoka makes a death threat and tells his opponent not to cry in heck. Caught in the hold, the president tries to find a way out as he senses the danger. In the audience, the nerd turns his face in panic while our hero just watches the scene. The brutal impact kicks up heavy dust on the shed's wooden floor. With monstrous strength, the chubby guy throws the boxer's body into the air. Covered in blood, the executive curses his slippery rival after losing the fatal grip. The dirty tactic is finally revealed, showing that the upperclassman slathered himself in body oil. Full of mockery, the fighter justifies the cheating by claiming he has very dry skin. Without missing the chance, a devastating flying punch hits the lone shark square in the face. From afar, the boss Gold Bucket watches his ally's humiliation in total silence. Annoyed by the failure, the leader yells that the lackey should have grabbed his opponent's legs using judo. However, one of the goons quickly retorts that this technique is forbidden in official championships. The memory of the sport emerges to prove that the leg grab became a serious foul in today's rules. Cold and calculating, our protagonist explains that this is exactly that monster's Achilles heel. Years of intense training force athletes to never use banned moves on the mats. Because of the repetition, the sport's perfect moves become pure automatic instinct. Ironically, this excess of discipline acts as a heavy chain, limiting the fighter. The judoka's body becomes completely bound by the invisible rules he trained to respect. In a street fight, the winner is always the one who shatters these moral chains without mercy. Understanding the message very well, the president grins from ear to ear, ready to get his hands dirty. In a malicious move, the upperclassman's fingers prepare an attack completely banned from the rings. Tossing honor aside, the outstretched hand advances like a whip, tearing through the air towards the chubby guy's eyes. Hit cowardly, the mafioso cries in agony, losing his vision instantly. Blinded by the eye poke, the executive eats a clean punch right to the face. To finish the job, the boxer lowers his base and prepares the ultimate cowardly move. Like a sledgehammer, the redhead's fist mercilessly sinks into his opponent's private parts. The infamous groin shot destroys the judoka's morale and body in front of the entire faction. Trapped in indescribable pain, the big guy holds his breath and makes a bizarre face. Outside the arena, the lackey with glasses cheers for the dirty move while the rest of the gang freezes in fear. Totally humiliated, the mafioso collapses to his knees on the asphalt, defeated by the low blow. Whimpering like a child, the executive complains that the groin shot was a very serious fall. With a look full of malice, the boxer curses the loser and tells him to stop crying. The fighter decrees loud and clear that street fights have no laws, preparing an armed elbow strike. In a violent explosion, the redhead's bone tears through the mafioso's cheek without mercy. Right after the impact, the upperclassman's hand grabs the enemy's floral shirt in a rough pull. Displaying an air of superiority, the boxer asks if the guys know the real reason for his retirement. The answer comes loaded with mockery, revealing that life in the official rings was just too boring. The fighter hated the rule of not being able to hit below the belt or use elbows or grabs. Comparing the mat to the asphalt, he celebrates the freedom to be able to go all out without a ref getting in the way. The mental chain breaks for good, erasing any trace of honor from his athletic past. Sporting a devilish smile, the president cheers for having a dirty and free to use arsenal at his disposal. In a swift move, a colossal headbutt smashes the chubby guy's nose, sending blood flying. Completely shocked by the carnage, the nerdy lackey stutters about the attacks on vital points. Our protagonist watches the massacre and concludes that his teammate is a truly sick psycho. Bathed in the enemy's blood, the ex-leader smiles sadistically, proving his own insanity. Punished to the limit, the heavy body of the mafioso executive plummets to its knees on the shed floor. Before the enemy completely collapses, the boxer grabs his belt in an aggressive pull. Totally in panic, the big guy extends a trembling hand, begging for his own life. Spitting blood, the loser cries desperately, screaming at the top of his lungs that he gives up the fight. The redhead's response comes in the form of a cruel stomp that smashes the victim's face into the ground. The president crushes his rival's head and reminds him that the underworld's rule requires a total knockout. Haunted by the brutality, the faction's goons tremble, calling the upperclassman a heartless monster. The fighter's sharp gaze focuses on the perfect opening to end the horror show. Accumulating the final strength, a colossal uppercut rises with everything towards the chubby guy's chin. The shock is so overwhelming that the impact launches the brute in the floral shirt into the air. The entire gang screams in shock, witnessing the true meaning of a fight of annihilation. With this devastating blow, the first round of the bloody rules officially comes to an end. Sprawled face down on the asphalt, the lone shark completely loses consciousness and turns to dust. Full of pride, the president raises his right arm, demanding the title of the round's winner. Returning to his team, the redhead brags about the easy victory, while the nerd attributes the success to the freshman's tactic. Cutting his ally's celebration short, our protag pokes him exactly in his bruised rib. The redhead groans in agony as the freshman tells him to stop pretending the victory was a walk in the park. With a serious expression, the hero warns that his partner almost signed his own death certificate. The memory of the monstrous fall at the beginning of the round proves that the judoka's initial blow was devastating. The new kid throws it in his face that if the chubby guy had dominated on the ground, the ex-president would be gone now. Behind the kid, the nerdy lackey is confused, not understanding who his boss is grumbling at. Without offering an explanation, the protagonist takes a deep sigh and walks straight to the center of the stage. The boy's hand opens in a calm gesture, showing that the focus has completely shifted. Pointing a blood-stained finger, the freshman stares at the sofa and demands the bet's fortune in cash. Caught in the financial trap, the mafia leader Gold Bucket's face shows a shadow of fury. With a loud noise, the brute gets up from his throne, clapping in a tone of pure irony. Getting in the freshman's face, the tattooed boss proposes a round of double or nothing without any messing around. The lone shark's blood boils as his deep voice challenges the transfer student to a mortal duel by name. Holding the murderous gaze, our hero accepts the macabre invitation without blinking an eye. Far from the shed, the entire Demon High trembles with the gossip that the new kid has declared war on the baddest thug in the area. Sitting at the betting table, the boss warns that this madness is no joke, and there are 30 million on the line. With a confident smile, the tattooed blondie reminds him that the game method was his choice. In a quick pull, the large hand slides smoothly over the colorful cards. Soon the game is revealed as Siata, a classic bet with traditional cards. In the 20-card Wadu deck, each player receives only 2 to try their luck. Through these cards, the objective is to make combinations and compete in the table's bets. On his phone screen, the kid checks the ranking of hands from Guangtang to Jiangsa. By the duel's rules, whoever loses all their money chips loses everything at once. Confused by the explanation, our protag compares the game to simple poker. After understanding the basic logic, the new kid pushes his chips in and asks if they can start. Without blinking, the mafia leader faces his opponent and asks if he's really ready. With 30 million on the table, the atmosphere in the shed reaches the peak of tension. To decide the first turn, the boss asks who starts and throws a card in the center. In a quick move, the brute flips a 7 on the wood and says the initial advantage is all his. Disappointed with his own card, the freshman realizes he drew a 4 and lost the start. In the stands, the audience bursts into pure laughter, making fun of our hero. In a mocking tone, the thugs find it ridiculous that the new kid is playing without even knowing how to tell the pieces apart. Confused by the deck, the kid tries to understand why the 4 and the 7 look identical. Full of panic, the nerd warns that the loan shark is not a beginner and begs his boss not to play. Beside him, the red-haired upperclassman breaks into a cold sweat and adds that he's never seen Gold Bucket lose a bet. With a malicious smile, the faction leader accepts the title of a true card shark. In the middle of the chips, the mafioso reports that people think he plays out of an obsession with money. Full of hatred, the coward spits the words, throwing it out there that this idea is pure nonsense. According to the thug's logic, anyone who thinks they'll get rich by betting is just a big idiot. On the other side of the table, the blondie states that real life is far from a bed of roses. During the card distribution, the villain warns that winning a game of chance has nothing to do with luck. Without missing a beat, he completely dismisses the need for personal effort at the table. For the boss, pure skill is useless when there's more to it than meets the eye. With his eye glinting in the darkness, the loan shark reveals that the secret to success is special items. Focused on the new kid's hands, the mafioso laughs mentally, celebrating that he can see absolutely everything. Behind the hero's back, the dirty trick is revealed, showing that the entire deck is secretly marked. With a dirty trick of ultraviolet ink and special contact lenses, the thug sees the backs of the cards. For the mafioso, the scheme was expensive but became his favorite tool for ripping off suckers. With a disdainful look, the boss mentally curses the student, calling him a stupid bastard. Behind a demonic smile, the blondie finds it impossible to lose when he has a complete view of the game. In our protag's hand, the cards form a dangerous combination to play. Through the special lens, the loan shark's eye catches the invisible marks and identifies the Gangster hand. Through the hidden ink, the villain knows exactly that the boy is holding a 10 and a 4. With a cynical expression, the brute strikes up a conversation, asking if the freshman got a decent hand. Aware of his own superiority, the coward decides to bet low to hook the victim gradually. Full of confidence, the boss throws only 5 chips into the pot to test the waters. Without hesitation, our hero folds the round and throws his cards on the table right away. Frustrated by the sudden fold, the blondie mentally curses the loss of profit. With his patience at its limit, the mafioso wonders how many times the kid has already run from the bet. Looking at the mountain of untouched chips, the thug concludes that bluffing doesn't work because the new kid is as slippery as a greased pig. On the other side of the table, the loan shark racks his brain, trying to figure out if the freshman is just a genius. With a serious expression, the new kid looks up as the boss suspects it's pure body language reading. Totally nervous, the mafioso starts creating absurd conspiracy theories in his head. Suddenly, the spirit of the old king appears behind the villain, and the blondie suspects the hero can see his cards. Straight from the beyond, the ghost confirms the suspicion, saying he can see everything perfectly. Like an invisible spy, the legend relays the exact numbers of the enemy's hand directly into the boy's ear. Focused on the mission, the deceased tells his partner to be careful, because the thug is using some dirty trick. Faced with this information, our protag is absolutely certain that the loan shark is reading his cards. In the stands, the crowd of goons boos the game, complaining that the delay is unbearably boring. Trapped in an invisible stalemate, the student concludes that the match won't end if they both know each other's hands. Suddenly, the ghost completely freaks out and yells, demanding immediate control of the body. Blind with rage, the ghost wants to stop the little game to crush all of the enemy's bones, while the hero calls for calm. Cold and strategic, the freshman warns that beating up the mafioso now won't solve the school's main problem. With a killer look, the new kid decrees that this drawn-out bet is just the first step of the plan. With this promise, the boy vows to implode the entire empire of betting and extortion that Gold Bucket has built. In a silent play, the new kid slides the next card to the center of the table. Behind the chair, the duo of allies gulps, sweating with pure nervousness. With his head down, our protagonist prepares the perfect psychological trap. To cut the tension in the room, the hero asks for permission to ask a personal question. Hitting a raw nerve, the boy questions the exact reason for the bizarre nickname, Gold Bucket. Full of pride, the mafioso raises his wrist, flaunting the expensive watch, and tells the freshman to use his eyes. Without expressing any emotion, the kid just stares at the display of cheap wealth. In a mocking tone, the protag says he found it strange, because he heard a very different story. Facing the tattooed face, the student drops the true humiliating nickname Golden Poop. Bluntly, the freshman states that the original street name was that, not the current luxury version. With an ironic smile, the hero congratulates the criminal on the image cleanup he tried to do at the school. Taken over by absolute fury, the boss yells, cursing the new kid's mother, and grabs his shirt collar. Yelling, the loan shark demands to know who leaked this confidential information in front of the entire shed. Desperate, the chubby executive begs his boss to let the kid go, reminding him that the audience is watching. With a sinister creak, the main door of the shed opens and slams with a crash, interrupting the fight. Far from the main fight, the nerd sighs with relief for having managed to get into an empty room. In a hurry, the goon with glasses rummages through the place, looking for a mysterious objective. In a quick search, the chubby guy scans the room, feeling the adrenaline rush. With a wide smile, the ally says to no one in particular that he finally found the mission's target. Behind the kid, a giant metal safe marks the prize of the secret operation. Back in the shed, the whispers grow, and the card game resumes in the central arena. Relaxed in his chair, the mafia boss takes a long sigh and curses the freshman's audacity. Cold as ice, the loan shark drops the bomb, wanting to know the price of the blackmail. Totally indignant, the blondie demands that the new kid stop messing around with that video. With little patience, the brute demands the price in cash to erase his dark past. Making small talk, the thug deduces that the freshman also wants to get rich quick with the material. With his eyes narrowed, our protag retorts, stating that the gang's dirty money doesn't interest him. Despite the denial, the boy throws out a taunt, stating that there's only one certainty at the table, fearless of what might come. The student says that the leader of Underover is nothing but a disgusting coward. The hero calls the villain a failure for thinking money is the only thing that solves life's problems. Glaring at the freshman, the loan shark swallows his anger, feeling the blow to his ego. Ignoring the visual threat, the protag confesses that he agrees with the villain on one single detail of the match. In a sincere outburst, the kid admits that this drawn-out card game is useless. Tired of the patience game, the new kid pushes the entire deck forward. In the crowded shed, the crowd enters a state of pure shock at the hero's sudden decision. Through whispers, the audience can't believe what the suicidal freshman just did. Facing the mafioso, the boy declares an all-in, betting all his chips on the round. With a confident smile, the protag proposes to end the game and crush his opponent once and for all. Because of the ultraviolet lenses, the leader laughs internally at the loser's desperation. Through the optical reading, the boss perfectly identifies the chill, detang hand. With the sum of the pair of sevens, victory seems guaranteed, and the thug lets out a demonic chuckle. Inside his own mind, the coward's trap worked with absolute perfection. Hiding his smile, the blondie shamelessly celebrates, reading the deck. Without any shame, the loan shark judges the new kid an idiot for betting his life so quickly. Thanks to the invisible marks, the villain knows he's holding the legendary Il Pao Guang Tang. Ironically, the boss raises his own secret tickets, mocking the enemy's pathetic attempt. For the coward, holding the maximum Guang combination means being the undisputed master of the game. Blinded by pride, the goon doesn't realize he's fallen headfirst into the real mental trap. Yelling, the chubby executive tries to stop the round, screaming for the loan shark to back down immediately. Paying no mind to the warning, the blondie shoves all his chips onto the table, yelling the infamous call. Surprised by the final showdown, the students in the stands go into a frenzy. Due to the risk of the insane bet, the mountain of accumulated money leaves the class on the edge of their seats. In a throat-cutting tension, the entire shed falls silent, awaiting the reveal of the hands. With an icy gaze, the new kid adjusts his posture, ready for the climax of the battle. Completely lost, the redhead and the advisor are left with their mouths open at the freshman's audacity. Far from the arena, the trio's plan proceeds perfectly inside the hidden little room. Back to the robbery, the nerd analyzes the safe, trying to figure out the absurd password. Standing in front of the keypad, the chubby guy grumbles that the boss should have warned him about the locked safe. In a fit, the ally starts testing obvious codes like 000 and gets error beeps. Typing classic numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4 and variations, he tries to open the door without success. With growing irritation, the lackey almost pulls his hair out, yanking at his own head. Kneeling on the floor, the ally complains that he's going to freak out trying to bypass the security system. Suddenly, a heavy step behind him chills the fake hacker's blood. Scared, the nerd slowly turns his head and comes face to face with a tattooed human monster. Holding the intruder's head, the beefy security guard mercilessly smashes the boy's hair. With a deep laugh, the guard mocks that the boy's hope has turned into a real nightmare. The robbery's happy ending was brutally interrupted by the treasure's guardian. In the main hall, the tension reaches its maximum level before the cards are turned over. Confident, the mafia leader raises his arm, calling for the definitive reveal. In a grand gesture, the blondie throws the Guang Tang cards right on the table. Upon seeing the unbeatable hand, the crowd goes completely wild and yells the name of the legendary combination. Certain of victory, the boss raises his head, already declaring the new kid broke and finished. Totally convinced, the loan shark mocks the poor soul who decided to play with fate. Out of patience, the brute curses the freshman's childish audacity. When it's time to collect the debt, the villain questions the reason for such a suicidal bet on a simple pair of sevens. Guffawing with pleasure, the sadistic gold bucket ridicules the new kid's stern face. With an ironic smile, the villain tells the victim to say goodbye to the world and plays his own cards. Like a magic show, our protag finally plays his hand, turning over the first piece. Confused, the boss's eyes widen, and he counts the numbers 4 and 7 out loud. Looking at the result on the table, The loan shark doesn't understand the bizarre combination revealed by the kid. Unable to understand the scene, the goons murmur, trying to translate the crazy play. With the force of the impact, the sacred name Mhamyoza cuts through the silence with force. Behind the secret rule, the hero's special hand is the only combination capable of crushing the enemy's perfect Guangtang. In absolute shock, the villain's eyes widen, his nerves exploding in brutal disbelief. Panic dominates the coward's mind as he glares at the table and sees his own empire crumble in a second. Trembling with rage and fear, the big guy can't process how the kid's perfect hand disappeared from sight. The loan shark swears he used the special lens and perfectly read the solid pair of sevens. In a flashback, the new kid reveals with the utmost coldness that he used the old trick of having a card up his sleeve. From the beginning, when drawing the first cards of the game, the boy hid the right card in the cast of his broken arm. Using the psychological game as bait, the freshman left the ultraviolet marks overlapping, fooling the loan shark's cheap lens. Caught by surprise, the hero is speechless as he processes the shock at the betting table. Totally in panic, the mafia boss throws himself over the mountain of dirty money. Unable to believe his own foolishness, the blonde loan shark freezes in time and space. In a violent impact, the reality of the colossal financial loss sinks in. With a trembling finger, the thug glares at the freshman, calling him a dirty scumbag. Focused on his indignation, the big guy shamelessly accuses the kid of cheating at the game. Ironically, the protagonist retorts the accusation, telling the coward to check the deck if he's man enough. Hidden among the common cards, the new kid's trap depended on a single slip, up from the villain. Without a second thought, the student returns the insult, pointing out that the mafioso also tampered with the entire deck. Quickly, the hero opens his hand and demands the 40 million won, doubled as agreed. Pushed against the wall, the loan shark hears the demand with his teeth gritted in pure rage. With his patience at its limit, the kid demands the cash to end the mess once and for all. Without warning, the tattooed brute ignores the defeat and bellows, ordering the shed to be locked down. Yelling, the mafioso curses his own troop, calling his goons idiots and ordering them to lock everything up. In the blink of an eye, dozens of thugs pull out bats and iron bars, blocking any chance of escape. Inside the closed arena, the crowd murmurs, surprised by their own leader's declared default. Indignant at the lack of honor, the new kid bangs on the table, demanding the bet's payment. Dry and direct, the hero throws it in the coward's face that a one promise is sacred in the underworld. With a cynical smile, the loan shark retorts that promises only work between people of the same power level. Completely without honor, the boss decrees the game is over, telling the kid to wait for his end. Faced with the brutal order, the army of goons advances in a fury to crush the enemy trio. Totally surrounded, the hero and the redhead prepare their fists for a true heck on earth. From the rafters, a bizarre storm of papers begins to rain down on the battlefield. At first, the torn sheet lands lightly near the freshman's broken arm. Intrigued by the mysterious rain, the entire gang stops and looks up at the ceiling, confused. Grabbing one of the pieces, the light-haired boss tries to understand the source of the trash. Suddenly, the cynical smile disappears, replaced by absolute terror on the villain's face. With a scream of horror, the loan shark recognizes the one promissory notes falling from the sky. Grabbing a sheet in his hand, the kid reads the debt contract of a random student out loud. Furious with the security breach, the mafioso yells, calling his entire gang stupid and useless. High above, the fake hacker with glasses raises his hands, celebrating the successful invasion. Full of pride, the nerd yells, telling the debtors to take back their own souls. In shock, the leader can't believe his entire collection of financial slaves has been shredded. Blinded by hatred, the loan shark points his finger and orders his troop to tear the chubby guy with glasses into 1,000 pieces. Completely paralyzed, the goons hesitate, as they are also debtors trapped in the faction's clutches. Suddenly, a heavy whisper takes over the indebted mass inside the court. Desperate, the mafia boss threatens to beat up anyone who picks up a single piece of a contract from the floor. With the veins in his neck popping, the thug realizes the rebellion is growing right under his own nose. Behind him, the protag celebrates the infallible strategy that broke the enemy system's legs. Without the power of dirty money, the mafia empire of Demon High loses all its authority for good. In unison, the crowd rebels and screams at the top of their lungs for the tyrant leader's bankruptcy. Immediately, a brutal pull of a chair echoes, tearing across the arena's asphalt. Full of blind fury, the hero charges, armed with the metal chair, straight for the coward's head. In a lethal crash, the furniture bends and breaks on the loan shark's back, destroying the villain's posture. Yelling, the freshman swears that the worst enemy is always the runner who hits first and warns from behind. In desperation, the nerd tries to negotiate his own freedom, arguing that the disappearance of the contracts frees everyone. In front of the busted safe, the tension in the room becomes too heavy for a simple lackey to bear. With mockery in his voice, the giant security guard just laughs, wanting to know if the kid is serious. Direct and merciless, the muscular arm full of Japanese tattoos sinks a punch into the intruder's face. Due to the brutal impact, the nerd is pressed against the iron safe, suffering heavy damage. With a bloodied face and crying in agony, the poor guy swallows the pain of a real beating. Full of sadism, the brute confesses that he loves the extortion scheme and doesn't want anything to change. Through the dirty cash, the monster brags about funding expensive dates with several girls outside of school. In a shower of blows, the big guy smashes the kid's nose using pure brutality. Because of the heavy punches, the makeshift hacker's body slumps into the corner of the room. Amidst laughter, the thug raises his fist, promising to send the intruder straight to a coffin. Suddenly, the small room's door flies into pieces, interrupting the massacre with a deafening noise. In a flawless flight, the sole of a shoe crosses the air, breaking into the dark room. Surprised by the lethal flying kick, the tattooed security guard falls on his back with a colossal impact. Frightened and confused, the mysterious intruder stops at the door, staring at the destruction up close. Through the busted door, the hero and his allies stare at the scene, confused, not understanding the damage. Surprised by the unusual rescue, the nerd cries with relief, asking who the savior is. In the middle of the smoke, a girl in leather pants and black boots appears, exuding confidence and danger. In an obvious tone, the Demon King's sister throws it in his face that she used the dumbest password in the world. Aware of her brother's memory, the warrior simply typed 0219 and opened the iron lock. With a heavy click, the safe door gives way, proving the stealthy intruder's accurate reasoning. Completely humiliated by the invasion, the big tattooed guy gets up, trembling with blind hatred. In front of the girl's protection, the monster seethes with rage, wanting to crush the new pest in the room. Taking a calm step, the purple-haired fighter completely ignores the gorilla's presence at the door. With a soft voice, the young woman tells the nerd she just needs the money to get out of there quickly. Out of patience, the security guard interrupts the negotiation, wanting to know where the meddler got so much audacity. In the arena, the protag smashes the chair on the boss's head, remembering the nickname Golden Poop. Cutting the tense mood, the origin of the name comes from a combination of words in Korean. Without beating around the bush, the image of a little goldfish appears, proving that the blondie used to suck up like a worm. Immediately, the memory shows the goon helping the Demon King and fixing his clothes without complaining. Full of anger, the girl grabs the villain's collar and calls him a pervert, remembering the night they recorded that dirty video. Blinded by fury, the mafia leader yells, threatening to rip the girl's mouth out before she finishes her sentence. With a smile of pure sadism, our hero says that words don't matter and the conversation will now be settled with fists. In a fraction of a second, the beefy security guard tries to punch the young woman by surprise, yelling to settle the brawl. Wielding the broken chair, the freshman retorts on the spot, telling the intruder to shut up and act. Immediately, the sole of his sneaker meets the tattooed guy's stomach in a dry and painful kick. With the momentum of the impact, the beefy aggressor collapses on his back, feeling the new kid's absurd strength. Cold and calculating, the student criticizes the big guy for depending on low blows and cheap tricks to win. In a shower of blows, the protagonist uses the steel chair as a weapon, mercilessly smashing the coward. Through a heavy stump, the hero's sneaker locks the chair on top of the security guard stretched out on the floor. Due to the overwhelming sequence, dust rises, and the mafioso gets beaten like a cornered animal. Bleeding from his nostrils, the big guy groans in pain, unable to believe the beating he just took. Annoyed by the weakness, the freshman grumbles, cursing the human trash for being so pathetic and easy to take down. In the main arena, the boss Gold Bucket breathes heavily, his face filled with perplexity. Clenching his fist tightly, the lone shark faces the ruin of everything he's built and feels the weight of defeat on his shoulders. Ironically, an imaginary winner's banner shines above the freshman's head as he smashes the leader's face. Throughout the court, the goons murmur, stunned, watching the untouchable boss take a clean punch. Displaying a proud smile, the redhead celebrates the perfect punch that connected right on target. In complete silence, the hero observes the villain's reaction to predict his next move. Full of swagger, the mafioso holds his own teeth and squeezes the kid's hand with monstrous strength. In a demonstration of raw power, the lone shark begins to squeeze the enemy's fist until the bone creaks. Frightened by the overwhelming strength, our protag realizes that the real threat has just begun. Immobilized by the absurd grip, the student freezes in place, mentally confessing that he can't move a muscle. With a devilish smile, the boss warns that this is the consequence of playing with fire in the wrong territory. From behind a dark gaze, the coward lets out a bizarre rant and brags about being very different from his lackey past. Suddenly, the cell phone in the villain's memory marks the year the old nickname was replaced by pure muscle. On the evolution chart, the numbers prove the impressive leap of 46 kilos of lean mass. With the absurd mark on the bench press, the 840 kilos lifted justify the monster he's become. Flexing his biceps, the lone shark announces with extreme pride that he has transformed into the true maximum force of the school. In shock, The redhead and the nerd observe the colossal difference between the weakling of the past and the wall of the present. In the middle of the invisible interrogation, the kid is in shock, confirming that the monster's fame was true. Immediately, a manic and insane smile takes over the freshman's face, who finds the difference unreal. Unable to speak, the hero is paralyzed as the bizarre revelation is thrown in his face. In a malicious move, the mafioso shows vials and syringes of anabolic steroids, proving his own crime. Cold and cruel, the villain reminds the freshman that in the end, dirty money always wins all wars. With a sound of breaking bones, the grip on the hero's hand reaches its maximum capacity for pain. Blind with confidence, the loan shark reinforces his belief that with the stolen cash, he can even buy his own brute force. Yelling, the protag is tortured in the middle of the crowd, feeling the colossal pressure crushing his skin. In response to the victim's groan, the villain's giant hand rises in a swift blow to the kid's neck. Lifted off the ground by his throat, the student takes a beating and hears the thug's macabre lesson about strength versus skill. Focused on the coward in the small room, the young woman fights, trying to get rid of the gorilla using clumsy kicks. Due to the difference in size and weight, the girl is swung from side to side as if she were a toy. Trapped by the superior strength, the fighter closes her eyes with hatred, gritting her teeth and vowing to take out the bum. Almost losing consciousness from being choked, our protagonist mentally curses the brute, complaining about how to escape an animal like this. In a terrifying chill, the leader notices a sinister change in the freshman's aura. Inside the kid's mind, the grip of the hands and the scream of pain disappear. Focusing on the opponent, his gaze becomes a target for the undefendable mortal blow. Suddenly, a dry crack echoes in the middle of the arena, freezing the fight. Like a missile, the flying girl sneaker hits the tattooed security guard square in the kisser. Thanks to the gigantic impulse, the monster is thrown through the air on a collision course with the asphalt. On the other side of the fight, the freshman imitates the same move, planting his heel with full force. Completely devastated, the two gorillas kiss the ground, raising a cloud of gray smoke. Dazed on the ground, the boss doesn't understand the absurd blow, while the hero relaxes his injured shoulder. Stuttering in disbelief, the chubby guy in the floral shirt questions if he just saw a miraculous judo counter-attack. Panting, the new kid admits he knows a little about martial techniques, but says he's not a purist fighter. In the middle of the crowd, the executive freaks out, yelling that the move the kid used isn't in any sports book. With a firm step, the protag approaches the leader and tells him to go to heck once and for all. Yelling, Gold Bucket twists his fist, preparing a cross loaded with pure blind rage. But in the exact millisecond, the hero dodges with a perfectly instinctive reflex of body and mind. In a perfect, low spin, his elbow smashes the enemy's jaw with extreme violence. Smiling like a maniac, our protagonist assumes the final stance, warning that his style is pure street survival. Pulling his arm with brutality, the freshman sinks his base to crush the golden monster. Blind with terror, the mafioso's eyes widen, realizing that the strength of 1,000 steroids is useless against that lunatic. Without mercy, the freshman tears at the enemy's face, landing another crushing impact right on the jugular. The god-blessed body of the Demon King, standing almost 2 meters tall and weighing 110 kilos, once served as an indestructible tank. On the street, everyone who faced the monster admitted defeat with a haunting excuse. In the losers' minds, fighting the living legend was exactly like punching a wild beast in a dead-end alley. Precisely because of this crushing strength, the frightening nickname always justified the fame of one-sided violence in his confrontations. Ironically, this frightening, bloodthirsty beast once had a fragile beginning in life. Way in the past, at just 12 years old, the demon, in training, was just a defenseless child holding a school backpack. Back then, a high school big shot cornered the punk in the middle of the street, threatening the little boy's life. With a clear disadvantage of 35 kilos against 76, the duel was a cowardly joke in poor taste. However, the kid clenched his fists, accusing the older bully of hitting his little sister first. Without backing down and sucking on a red lollipop, the young king called the big guy out for a fair fight, demanding they settle the score. Faced with the bold disrespect, the older student's face froze in surprise at the smaller boy's suicidal courage. With a firm stomp, the boy locks his supporting foot, preparing his base for the final attack. Due to the brutal difference in strength, the big guy tries to resolve it with brutality, lifting the kid by his collar. Facing danger head-on, the young beast shows not a single ounce of fear in his eyes. To overcome the physical disadvantage, the boy clenches his fists, gritting his teeth with pure rage. In a dry blow, the punk hits the bully's arm, breaking the enemy's posture on the spot. With a death grip, the hero focuses on the joints to compensate for his absolute lack of muscle. Using physics to his body's advantage, the kid applies the perfect leverage on the big guy. Screaming in pure agony, the aggressor feels his arm almost snap in the middle from the merciless hold. Completely off balance, the monster is thrown into the air as if he were a rag doll. Tossing weak little punches aside, the tactic is based on the brutal use of gravity and throws. Through the air, the giant plummets head, first with no chance of recovering his defense. Cold and focused, the boy locks a murderous gaze on the victim in mid-freefall. In a state of shock, the crowd watches the lethal technique happen in a millisecond. Like a meteor, gravity pulls the duo towards the imminent impact with the floor. In a bizarre crash, the combined weight of the two fighters comes down to break the opponent's back on the asphalt. From the colossal force of the throw, a wave of dust explodes in the shed after the crushing impact. Sprawled on the floor, the chubby executive is completely speechless at that absurd destruction. Questioning the technique used, the mafioso grumbles that locking elbows and throwing the enemy on their head is not a judo move. Swaying with terror, the goon gulps, realizing that was an attack made exclusively to take someone out. Impressed, the red-haired partner guarantees that the freshman doesn't mess around and states that normal people would never do that. Standing over the defeated boss, the new kid becomes the center of attention as the gang wonders what kind of beast he is. Spitting blood on the floor, the tattooed leader tries to regain consciousness in the middle of his supreme humiliation. In a fit of desperation, the lone shark crawls backward, screaming in pure panic. In tears, the coward yells for help, desperately calling for his private bodyguard. In an attempt to buy protection, the villain offers 2.5 million won to anyone who intervenes in the beating. To make the humiliation worse, the thug rips the luxury watch from his wrist, swearing the piece is worth a fortune on the black market. Yelling, the mafioso promises the shiny prize to whoever liquidates the freshman, while our hero just sighs with boredom. Immediately, the crowd of goons goes on alert, torn between the greed for the prize and the fear of getting taken out. In the backstage of the circle, the subordinates whisper, quickly evaluating if it's worth risking their necks. Suddenly, a blue sandal takes a heavy step, taking the lead of the army of thugs. Limping with great difficulty, the chubby executive advances, facing the battlefield. With a relieved smile, the leader celebrates, thinking his loyal lackey has come to save his skin, and promises rivers of money. Cold and silent, the advisor just glares at the fallen boss with a look full of disgust and pity. Without uttering a single word, the chubby guy aggressively takes off his executive jacket. Completely confused, the lone shark's eyes widen, not understanding the rebellious attitude of his number 2 lackey. Turning his back, the mafioso in the floral shirt says he's done talking and throws the shame of having followed a loser in his face. In a final gesture of humiliation, the black gang shirt is thrown right in the terrified leader's face. Immediately, the entire troop joins in and starts ripping off the criminal faction's uniforms. Blinded by desperation, the blondie sees in his allies' eyes that the empire of fear has just crumbled, forming a veritable mountain of trash. The under-over jackets are piled up and discarded on the asphalt. Yelling, the ex-boss curses the thugs for being idiots, refusing to accept the collective mutiny. Without looking back, the crowd ignores the yells and marches in force straight for the shed's exit. Kneeling alone in the center of the arena, the coward cries, begging for the mercenary's return. In a dark grip, our protag appears behind him, coldly reminding him that the score isn't settled yet. Gritting his teeth with hatred, the dethroned villain understands he's reached the end of the line with no escape route. Pathetically, the lone shark touches his forehead to the ground, admitting defeat and trying to bargain for an end to the fight. Cold as ice, the freshman just stares at the kneeling worm with a posture of pure superiority. Cutting off the cheap act, the new kid says that talk of victory and defeat is irrelevant compared to the bill that still needs to be paid. Doing the math, the hero calculates the debt at 100 million and already subtracts the cash from the safe plus the watch, leaving 50 to settle. Recalling the invasion, the faction's busted safe is directly deducted from the thug's financial bill. Trembling with terror, the ex-leader stutters, not knowing how to pull so much magical money out of his own empty pocket. Full of irony, the student smiles and reassures his enemy, saying that a lack of cash is never an unsolvable problem. Without any warning, an explosive kick rips through the tattooed blondie's chin, lifting him off the asphalt. From behind a demonic expression, the protag spits out the same sadistic rules the lone shark used against the students. Winding up for a devastating punch, the freshman repeats the underworld's golden phrase about debtors without cash. Yelling, the hero brings his hand down mercilessly, demanding that the deadbeat pay everything with his own body. Due to the absurd force of the blow, the villain falls on his back, completely winded. Fresh blood splatters on the floor as the new kid's fist repeatedly hammers the enemy's face. In a merciless rain of cross punches, the freshman collects on every cent of suffering caused at the school. Blinded by adrenaline, our protag's arm winds up for one last heavy blow to finish the massacre. In the student's mind, the disgusting image of the mafioso spitting on the old king makes his veins boil with hatred. Recalling the phrase that the entire gang hated the original boss, the new kid prepares the final execution. Soon, the scene of the threatened girl on the video call fuels the carnage. Dripping with the scum's blood, the hero's clenched fist trembles, bearing the weight of revenge. Recalling the camera running in the trap, the cruel plan to sell the young woman's dignity resurfaces. Threatening to sell the dirty film on the black market, The monster sealed his own painful fate. Taken over by an overwhelming emotion, the freshman's gaze exudes an uncontrollable dark fury. The pale and bruised face of the young warrior erases any ounce of pity from the hero's soul. With the villain's sadistic smile haunting his memory, the summary execution is confirmed in the shed. In a deafening roar, the protagonist unleashes his inner demons in an animalistic scream of rage. Leaping into the air, the new kid's heavy boot aims for a fatal crush on the prey's head, thrown on the floor. Suddenly, the deceased king's sister runs panting into the court, drawing attention. Stunned by the savagery, the nerdy and red-haired allies freeze in place, watching their partner turn into a demon. Like a thunderclap, the kid's heel comes down mercilessly, tearing through the wind to crack the leader's skull for good. Suddenly, a fragile voice cuts through the atmosphere in the shed, calling Ma Seok-ho's name and freezing the new kid's foot in the air. Faced with the surprise, the hero stops the killer kick, freezing the sole of his sneaker millimeters from the enemy's face. Sweating and still feeling the adrenaline, the freshman processes the shock of the sudden scream. Scared of his partner ruining everything, the ghost despairs, demanding an explanation for the pause. On the brink of his end, the mafia leader stares at the sole of the sneaker, paralyzed by absolute terror. From the single tear running down the coward's face, it's clear he was already ready for heck. Fallen in the arena, the lone shark lets out a trembling sigh, relieved not to have his skull crushed. Officially defeated, the villain becomes just another punching bag destroyed by the new kid's team. On the imaginary sign of fate, the bankruptcy announcement of Demon High's biggest gang decrees the revolution. Thanks to the absolute victory, the end of the war marks a new era in the school madhouse. After the bloodbath, the hospital facade once again illuminates the scene. Sitting on the edge of the hospital bed, the protagonist faces the deceased sister with his arm in a sling. With a low gaze, the young woman starts a conversation, recalling their unfinished talk about the incident. Cutting to the chase, the girl bluntly states that the tragedy was far from a common accident. Without any warning, the warrior takes the lead in the conversation, pointing out a strange detail from the past. Focusing on the name of the monster's old group, the young woman confirms if the sender Mafam means the Demon Family Gang. With disgust in her voice, the girl spits the word friends, highlighting the hypocrisy of those who hung out with the legend. From behind a cold expression, the comatose patient's sister nails the true origin of the dirty attack. Outside, the sun shines brightly on the hospital building, contrasting with the darkness of the conversation. On the X, the diagnosis shows cruel micro-fractures in the arm bones. Soon after, the leg plate reveals frightening fractures in the fighter's tibia. Explaining the hellish pain, the doctor warns about the generalized inflammation in muscles and ligaments. Faced with the chaotic situation, the doctor decrees a whole month of heavy treatment in the infirmary. Devastated, the kid sighs heavily, covered in bandages, feeling beaten up. Ignoring the will to fight, the specialist demands absolute rest so as not to worsen the situation. In the recovery room, the hero can barely move, complaining that the pain feels like stabs all over his body. During the medical scolding, the health professional demands patience and rest from the runaway patient. Playing on his phone, the protag lets out an annoyed sigh for being locked in that bed. With his gaze turned away, the patient mutters quietly, trying to hide his frustration with his own limits. Through the door, the veteran teammate appears, grumbling about the new kid's suicidal haste. Taking on the role of the elder, the big guy points out that whether it's trash or wood, in the end, every bone breaks. Without any ceremony, the purple-haired young woman leans against the door, announcing her own arrival. Immediately, the room door opens with a crack, and the girl stops at the threshold, facing the duo. With a bulky package in hand, the big guy hands the wad of cash to the unusual visitor. Confused by the pile of cash, the girl questions what that abandoned package under the gurney is. Glaring at the protag, the warrior accuses him of having paid the hospital bills in secret. Averting his attention, the freshman turns his face, telling her to just quietly accept the cash. To disguise his good deed, the new kid lies straight to her face, saying the money came from the deceased's own savings. Watching the scene in the corner, the red-haired upperclassman smiles, suspicious of the freshman's lie. Not buying the excuse, the girl grits her teeth, even more annoyed by the situation. With a superior posture, the hero plays dumb and grumbles that she doesn't even need to thank him. Breaking the mood, the sister dryly retorts that she really doesn't feel the least bit grateful for the forced charity. With a slight smile, the freshman thinks about how this stubborn attitude is just like the deceased's. But the ice melts in a second when the girl whispers that she trusts his good intentions. For the first time in a soft tone, the young woman affirms that her trust in the boy is genuine. Completely caught off guard, our protag's cheeks turn red, not knowing how to react. Taking advantage of the opening, the upperclassman elbows the freshman, teasing his awkwardness and telling him to stop blushing. With a lighter mood, the girl gets up, remembering their conversation from the previous night. Recalling the conversation, the warrior brings back the main theory about the attack on the road. Through the window, The image of the car flipping over repeats the scene that sealed the monster's deep coma. In the sister's view, it's proven by tests that the violent crash was pure sabotage. With the sticker pack in her hands, the warrior starts talking again about the demon family's symbol. Suddenly, the hero and the girl start exchanging theories, putting the pieces of the conspiracy together. Without an ounce of pity, the girl unmasks the group of fake friends who drained the king's morale. In the group photo, the happy smiles hid the real hatred of the subordinates against their former leader. The verdict is declared, revealing that the final answer was always hidden right under their noses. In a silent shock, the freshman's eyes widen as he understands the extent of the revealed betrayal. In the corner of the room, the veteran partner gets serious, listening to the dangerous talk that could cause another war. Suddenly, a giant noise echoes as if a stampede is invading the hospital hallway. Blinded by the scare, the warrior freezes, turning her head towards the wide, open door. From her look of pure terror, the girl gulps, trying not to freak out at the new unforeseen event. Kicking the door open with an excited kick, the lackey with glasses yells, announcing his own arrival with the redhead's escort. Smiling, the nerd catches his boss blushing and immediately blurts out that the girl is definitely his girlfriend. With a sharp slap, the new kid smashes the chubby guy's face, demanding that the flying cockroach shut up. Displaying a frosted cake, the lackey holds up the gift, congratulating the team on Gold Bucket's fall. With a smashed face, the nerd says that as the first step in the new leader's legend, he has already organized the party. Totally out of patience, our protag denies the position and doesn't understand the group's obsession with leadership. Overly excited, the lackey grumbles that the little party is only fun if there's drinks and an official gang toast. With a metallic hiss, he opens a mysterious can in front of everyone, startling the new kid. For the celebration, the nerd proposes to seal the Pact of Souls under the banner of conquering Demon High. Raising the toast to the ceiling, the chubby guy gives a speech about the Brotherhood of Warriors and the faction's future. Right after, the nerdy duo forcefully shoves the cans of drink into their partner's hands. Without losing momentum, the lackey already offers the cold liquid, shamelessly calling the warrior's sister-in-law. Finding it all very amusing, the upperclassman agrees to the peach garden toast, joining in the fun. Suddenly, the girl raises her palm, revealing a disgusting and noisy insect. With the live cockroach in his hands, the nerd presents the special treat, proving that the group's foolishness never ends. Without losing his swagger, the nerd adjusts his glasses, wanting to know who gave the new kid permission to be there. Soon, the Four Eyes demands respect and warns that he won't let what happened on the court slide. With a promise of revenge, the lackey points his finger in the big guy's face. Confused by the punk's audacity, the brute just stares at the bizarre scene in silence. Cold and direct, the boss tells the one with glasses to swallow the disgusting insect. Immediately, the nerd chews the live bug and swallows the grossness without hesitation. Frightened, the mafioso backs away shocked, saying the chubby guy is much crazier than he imagined. During the bizarre meal, the lackey offers a piece to his boss, who refuses with a look of disgust. Full of revulsion, the warrior girl tells the crazy guy to get that bizarre thing far away from her. Tired of all this nonsense, the protagonist just sighs, asking everyone to get out of the room. At night, the hospital facade once again illuminates the scene. With the red tag in his hands, the hero focuses on the name of the demon family. Quickly, he points out an English error, stating that it should be with the letter AF and not P. Not caring about grammar, the red-haired partner grumbles that the meaning of family is exactly the same. To close his reasoning, the new kid concludes that the sender is definitely the old gang, since only they use that exclusive symbol. With the tag on the table, the upperclassman remembers that the object was found in the old king's spot on the very day of the tragedy. In a quick summary, the big guy states that the culprit is hidden among the old members of the faction. To clear any doubt, the protag questions if Gold Bucket wouldn't be the perfect suspect. Soon, the partner agrees that Golden Poop is very dirty but dismisses his guilt on the spot. According to the sister's theory, the mafia loan shark would never have the capacity to plan something so grand and discreet. In a quick trip to the past, the scene cuts to a VIP club full of drinks and women. With a glass in hand, one of the big shots tells Golden Poop to cheer up a bit and enjoy the party. In the middle of the fun, the old gang mocks their colleague's stern face, complaining that he's ruining the good mood. In a mocking tone, one of them laughs at the loan shark for getting beaten up by first-year kids from school. Due to the lack of luxury, the women question the group's tacky taste, asking if they're still in the 90s. Not forgiving the failure, one of the bosses asks if the coward isn't ashamed and says he would have gone down in his place. To make the humiliation worse, they notice the loser's wrist is empty and laugh at the theft of the gold watch. Consumed by blind fury, the blonde mafioso shatters the glass cup in his hand with so much anger. Yelling, the loan shark says the situation has gone too far, and no one there can laugh in his face like that. From his rebellious attitude, it's clear the thug was plotting against his own bosses and planned to take them all down. In a cowardly attack, the mafioso stabs a broken glass bottle right into the hand of the colleague who was mocking him. In an offensive tone, the blondie throws it in his face that he never thought the two were on the same power level. Bathed in blood, the victim screams in pain as his flesh is pierced by the sharp glass. To calm the mood, another boss tells everyone to shut up because he's recording a video on his phone. Back in the present, the red-haired upperclassman explains that Golden Poop only hung out with the gang for contacts. To clarify the facts, he guarantees that the lone shark was never an official member of the group. With an air of mockery, the hero asks if they need to level up to get into the special circle. Soon, the partner explains that there is only one absolute condition to be part of the demon family. With a heavy aura, the word strength emerges as the only law of the city's #1 faction. To defeat these monsters, the partner warns the freshman that the current fight was just a warm-up. Through the power map, the upperclassman reports that all members cleared their own areas before earning the jacket. Mockingly, the protagonist is ironic about the dubious quality of the old king's wonderful friendships. Completely paranoid, the boy confesses he doesn't even know who might try to take him out on the next dark corner. But the redhead ignores the whining and insists that the danger level will rise drastically in the coming days. To survive the nightmare, the partner demands that the freshman get a major physical and mental upgrade. Against this crazy idea, the new kid grumbles that he's not Iron Man to get an armor upgrade. Faced with the list of names, the hero concludes that the main suspects in the attack are finally defined. However, the gang's organization chart is huge, and the number of targets leaves the boy discouraged and confused. Suddenly, the hospital room door opens with a slow, very soft creak. With a bag of candy in her hand, a pink-haired girl shyly asks if that is the famous Jo Jin-ho. Confused by the visit, the protag confirms his name and questions the identity of the mysterious newcomer. In a quick jump, the girl holds the hero's hands and showers him with non-stop compliments. Full of gratitude, the pink-haired girl explains that Gold Bucket's fall saved her life from infinite depths. Yelling with joy, the young woman calls the hero incredible, leaving him completely embarrassed. With his cheeks red, the kid thanks her for the many compliments received. Immediately, the visitor pulls out a modern cell phone and asks to ask a few quick questions. Not quite understanding the situation, the patient agrees, thinking it's just a normal school chat. Straight to the interrogation, the girl asks how he had the courage to take on the mafia boss without fear. With a philosophical pose, the new kid questions if elephants think about the ants they crush while walking. With pure arrogance, the freshman states that he is the heavy elephant and the enemy leader was just an insignificant insect. Focusing on physical size, the reporter questions how he beat the monster being just such a skinny boy. Annoyed by the offense of being called small, the hero loses it and gets up from the gurney on the spot. Ready to prove his own greatness, the kid throws the blanket aside and starts unbuttoning his pants. Yelling, the patient repeats the metaphor, warning that he's going to show the real elephant's trunk live and in color. To the protagonist's absolute terror, a computer screen shows that the entire interview was a live broadcast. Quickly, the girl puts on bunny ears and assumes the persona of a professional gossip YouTuber. On the channel's screen, a censorship warning pops up, cutting the broadcast to avoid a lawsuit for adult content. With the live stream ended, the news that a new force has emerged in the world's worst school spreads like wildfire online. In search of likes, the YouTuber Red Rabbit promises more bombshell gossip about the elephant in the future. With his own cell phone in hand, the hero panics, watching the public humiliation he just went through. Back in the school environment, the school facade appears full of malicious murmurs and whispers. Through the hallways, the gossiping students make fun of the viral video, calling the new kid Elephant Man. Completely gossipy, the students laugh at the kid's face as he walks in his cast, dying of embarrassment. With his head down, the protag just wants to dig a hole and disappear from the face of the earth forever. To make matters worse, his lackeys greet their boss by yelling, calling the humiliated boy a national celebrity. As an initial joke, the redhead already calls our protagonist a big internet star. Impressed by his posture, the nerd with glasses praises the boss's absurd confidence in the video. With a look of disgust, the warrior curses the new kid, calling his attitude pure perversion. Desperate, the protag defends himself, showing his phone and swearing he was the victim of a trap since his lips don't even sync with the audio. Aware of the malicious editing, the YouTuber Red Rabbit analyzes his movements and asks if the boy's hand is working correctly. Revolted, the hero explains that he only took off his pants because he spilled a hot drink right in his lap. Dominated by rage, the freshman yells that it's an edit made by the devil himself to destroy his morale. In an attempt to see the bright side, the redhead praises the views, but the new kid focuses on finding out who posted the video to get the post taken down, as they are deleting comments. Pensive, the reporter with bunny ears calculates that her channel has 5,000 subscribers and analyzes the court footage in detail. After solving the riddle, The girl deduces that the culprit studies there and suggests beating up anyone with a camera, but remembers that being a streamer has become the new generation's big dream. Through the classroom window, the protagonist focuses on the strange movement happening outside. In the school hallway, a crowd of students gathers, making a deafening noise. Equipped with professional cameras and lighting, several extras in yellow shirts invade the space for good. Full of swagger, a blonde prep in a uniform tells her crew that the live broadcast is starting now. Right on the expensive recording equipment, the countdown of 1 and 2 rolls, preparing for the start of the show. Posing for the lens, the influencer welcomes everyone to the incredible world of Mimi. With a wink, she announces to her followers that today's vlog will show the star's school life. Completely confused, the new kid asks if the girl is some celebrity, and the nerd freaks out, wanting to know how his boss doesn't know the famous girl. On the cell phone screen, her profile boasts 1 million subscribers, confirming the blonde is absolute weight on the internet. Besides her fame, the prep is none other than the owner of the Big Hand Entertainment Agency, responsible for controlling a veritable legion of content creators. The company manages several well-known channels. Sitting on the hood of a pink luxury car, the rich and powerful young woman commands the entire city's attention. From afar, the freshman admits she's pretty but sees nothing special, while his purple-haired friend criticizes female envy. Suddenly, a giant security guard in a suit with slicked back hair locks his eyes on our protagonist. Appealing to ignorance, the brute approaches the hero, demanding that he lend his own body for the recording. During the interaction with the chat, the blonde thanks a 100,000 donation and charmingly replies that the uniform suits her. Pushed by the security guard, the new kid stumbles forward and says the famous girl's real name. Right on target, the boy points his finger with a huge smile and confirms that she is the old acquaintance Ma Seok-ho. Without mincing words, the kid reveals that the prep was the only girl in the old demon family, leaving the blonde frozen in shock. After walking around the girl, the hero confesses that the change was so absurd that he almost didn't recognize his old gangmate. Covered in sweat from nervousness, the blonde plays off the situation, asking if the boy is a fan and offering an autograph after the live stream. Straight up, the new kid refuses the offer of a signed paper and says he just needs one answer. Cold as ice, the freshman recalls October 3rd of last year, citing the exact date of the old king's accident. Facing the influencer's soul, the kid drops the bomb, asking where she was on that fateful day. Pushed against the wall, the prep freezes, and her left eye glows, revealing a silent terror. Suddenly, a colossal hand grabs our hero's face from behind with extreme violence. From the absurd force of the impact, the freshman is thrown backward, colliding brutally with the hallway lockers. Stunned by the unprovoked aggression, the protag's allies' eyes widen, not understanding where the cowardly act came from. Positioned in the middle of the smoke, the security guard in a suit stares at the damage, while the blonde calls him chief. With a hand on his sore face, the student gets up, grumbling that remembering the girl automatically brings this brute's presence. Through a monstrous punch, the security guard assumes a stance, revealing himself to be the dangerous Park Jian. Like a true sadist, the protagonist blocks the blow, smiling, and says the introduction phase is over. With an impeccable reflex, the new kid grabs the giant's wrist, declaring that the brawl has just begun. In a swift leap, the freshman wraps his legs around the big guy's neck, armed to apply the fatal hold. Excited in the audience, the allies celebrate the flying armbar, stating that this is the boss's infallible victory pattern. With pure brute force, the boy squeezes his legs and locks the enemy's joint in mid-air. With a maniacal smile, the fighter declares out loud that the security guard's arm has just been confiscated. Suddenly, the kid's expression changes to pure shock as he realizes something went very wrong with the submission. Trapped in his own mind, the hero feels as if he's holding onto a giant tree trunk that won't budge an inch. Instead of falling, the bodyguard simply lifts the freshman's body, as if he weighed less than a feather. From the monstrous strength of the suit, the giant holds the protagonist up high, defying all laws of gravity. Desperate, the lackey with glasses yells, fearing the monster will throw his partner right onto the concrete floor. With a deadly look, the bodyguard glares at the victim up high, exuding a purely murderous aura. Full of sweat, the new kid gulps, realizing disaster is knocking at his door. In a deafening crash, the impact with the floor destroys the kid's back, kicking up an absurd amount of dust. Immediately, the blonde prep claps her hands, an echo of a sharp crack in the school hallway. In a warning tone, the influencer tells the security guard to stop the aggression, because that level of carnage will get her channel banned. Obeying the order on the spot, the brute freezes in place without saying a single word. Without the slightest pity, the guard backs off and leaves the freshman's body sprawled on the floor like a punching bag. With a new expression, the YouTuber tells her followers that class is about to start and ends the broadcast, asking for a shower of likes. End of recording, and the technical crew already yells cut, ordering a quick change to the next school scene. Hurriedly, the extras collect the heavy equipment and begin to clear the hallway immediately. Already on his feet, the hero faces the prep up close, bringing up the matter of October 3rd again. Cold and distant, the influencer confesses she doesn't remember where she was but guarantees she has an unforgettable memory of that day. From the memory of the road, the explosion of the Demon King's car lights up the dark night, revealing the girl's true feelings. Behind the orange glow of the flames, the blonde admits she felt an extremely bitter taste in her mouth. Faced with the old leader's bloodied body stretched out on the asphalt, a feeling of pure relief took over her soul. With a completely empty expression, the rich young woman finishes her sentence, stating that deep down, the disaster was a very good thing. Blind with hatred, the freshman's eyes widen, and he grits his teeth, consumed by the absolute coldness of the confession. Without looking back, the blonde prep walks away, turning her back without showing an ounce of remorse. Far away, the recording crew discusses changing clothes, suggesting the gym uniform for the next scene. Paralyzed in the same spot, the kid tries to process the sheer cruelty of the former gang member. Worried, his allies approach, asking about his relationship with the famous girl, and the warrior reveals the fraud's real name. With a loud crack of his neck, the protag confirms her identity and drops the bomb, saying the girl belonged to the old guard. At the end of the hallway, the YouTuber's eye glows with a macabre tone, proving that the old faction's name still imposes a demonic terror. As an initial joke, the redhead already calls our protagonist a big internet star. Impressed by his posture, the nerd with glasses praises the boss's absurd confidence in the video. With a look of disgust, the warrior curses the new kid, calling his attitude pure perversion. Desperate, the protag defends himself, showing his phone and swearing he was the victim of a trap since his lips don't even sync with the audio. Aware of the malicious editing, the YouTuber Red Rabbit analyzes his movements and asks if the boy's hand is working correctly. Revolted, the hero explains that he only took off his pants because he spilled a hot drink right in his lap. Dominated by rage, the freshman yells that it's an edit made by the devil himself to destroy his morale. In an attempt to see the bright side, the redhead praises the views, but the new kid focuses on finding out who posted the video to get the post taken down. Pensive, the reporter with bunny ears calculates that her channel has 5,000 subscribers and analyzes the court footage in detail. After solving the riddle, the girl deduces that the culprit studies there and suggests beating up anyone with a camera. Through the classroom window, the protagonist focuses on the strange movement happening outside. In the school hallway, a crowd of students gathers, making a deafening noise. Equipped with professional cameras and lighting, several extras in yellow shirts invade the space for good. Full of swagger, a blonde prep in a uniform tells her crew that the live broadcast is starting now. Right on the expensive recording equipment, the countdown of 1 and 2 rolls, preparing for the start of the show. Posing for the lens, the influencer welcomes everyone to the incredible world of Mimi. With a wink, she announces to her followers that today's vlog will show the star's school life. Completely confused, the new kid asks if the girl is some celebrity, and the nerd freaks out, wanting to know how his boss doesn't know the famous girl. On the cell phone screen, her profile boasts 1 million subscribers, confirming the blonde's absolute weight on the internet. Besides her fame, the prep is none other than the owner of the Big Hand Entertainment Agency. Responsible for controlling a veritable legion of content creators, the company manages several well-known channels. Sitting on the hood of a pink luxury car, the rich and powerful young woman commands the entire city's attention. From afar, the freshman admits she's pretty but sees nothing special, while his friend criticizes female envy. Suddenly, a giant security guard in a suit with slicked back hair locks his eyes on our protagonist. Appealing to ignorance, the brute approaches the hero, demanding that he lend his own body for the recording. During the interaction with the chat, the blonde thanks a 100,001 donation and charmingly replies. Pushed by the security guard, the new kid stumbles forward and says the famous girl's real name. Right on target, the boy points his finger with a huge smile and confirms that she is the old acquaintance Ma Seok-ho. Without mincing words, the kid reveals that the prep was the only girl in the old demon family, leaving the blonde frozen in shock. After walking around the girl, the hero confesses that the change was so absurd that he almost didn't recognize his gangmate. Covered in sweat from nervousness, the blonde plays off the situation, asking if the boy is a fan and offering an autograph after the live stream. Straight up, the new kid refuses the offer of a signed paper and says he just needs one answer. Cold as ice, the freshman recalls October 3rd of last year, citing the exact date of the old king's accident. Facing the influencer, the kid drops the bomb, asking where she was on that fateful day. Pushed against the wall, the prep freezes, and her left eye glows, revealing a silent terror. Suddenly, a colossal hand grabs our hero's face from behind with extreme violence. From the absurd force of the impact, the freshman is thrown backward, colliding brutally with the hallway lockers. Stunned by the unprovoked aggression, the protag's allies' eyes widen, not understanding where the cowardly act came from. Positioned in the middle of the smoke, the security guard in a suit stares at the damage while the blonde calls him chief. With a hand on his sore face, the student gets up, grumbling that remembering the girl automatically brings this brute's presence. Through a monstrous punch, the security guard assumes a stance, revealing himself to be the dangerous Park Jian. Like a true sadist, the protagonist blocks the blow, smiling, and says the introduction phase is over. With an impeccable reflex, the new kid grabs the giant's wrist, declaring that the brawl has just begun. In a swift leap, the freshman wraps his legs around the big guy's neck, armed to apply the fatal hold. Excited in the audience, the allies celebrate the flying armbar, stating that this is the boss's infallible victory pattern. With pure brute force, the boy squeezes his legs and locks the enemy's joint in mid-air. With a maniacal smile, the fighter declares out loud that the security guard's arm has just been confiscated. Suddenly, the kid's expression changes to pure shock as he realizes something went very wrong with the submission. Trapped in his own mind, the hero feels as if he's holding onto a giant tree trunk that won't budge an inch. Instead of falling, the bodyguard simply lifts the freshman's body, as if he weighed less than a feather. From the monstrous strength of the suit, the giant holds the protagonist up high, defying all laws of gravity. Desperate, the lackey with glasses yells, fearing the monster will throw his partner right onto the concrete floor. With a deadly look, the bodyguard glares at the victim up high, exuding a purely murderous aura. Full of sweat, the new kid gulps, realizing disaster is knocking at his door. In a deafening crash, the impact with the floor destroys the kid's back, kicking up an absurd amount of dust. Immediately, the blonde prep claps her hands, an echo of a sharp crack in the school hallway. In a warning tone, the influencer tells the security guard to stop the aggression, because that level of carnage will get her channel banned. Obeying the order on the spot, the brute freezes in place without saying a single word. Without the slightest pity, the guard backs off and leaves the freshman's body sprawled on the floor like a punching bag. With a new expression, the YouTuber tells her followers that class is about to start and ends the broadcast, asking for a shower of likes. End of recording, and the technical crew already yells, "Cut," ordering a quick change to the next school scene. Hurriedly, the extras collect the heavy equipment and begin to clear the hallway immediately. Already on his feet, the hero faces the prep up close, bringing up the matter of October 3rd again. Cold and distant, the influencer confesses she doesn't remember where she was but guarantees she has an unforgettable memory of that day. From the memory of the road, the explosion of the Demon King's car lights up the dark night, revealing the girl's true feelings. Behind the orange glow of the flames, the blonde admits she felt an extremely bitter taste in her mouth. Faced with the old leader's bloodied body stretched out on the asphalt, a feeling of pure relief took over her soul. With a completely empty expression, the rich young woman finished her sentence, stating that deep down, the disaster was a very good thing. Blind with hatred, the freshman's eyes widen and he grits his teeth, consumed by the absolute coldness of the confession. Without looking back, the blonde prep walks away, turning her back without showing an ounce of remorse. Far away, the recording crew discusses changing clothes, suggesting the gym uniform for the next scene. Paralyzed in the same spot, the kid tries to process the sheer cruelty of the former gang member. Worried, his allies approach, asking about his relationship with the famous girl, and the warrior reveals the fraud's real name. With a loud crack of his neck, the protag confirms her identity and drops the bomb, saying the girl belonged to the old guard. At the end of the hallway, the YouTuber's eye glows with a macabre tone, proving that the old faction's name still imposes a demonic terror. Suspicious, the big security guard deduces that the trio knows something important. With a less than friendly face, he claims that this whole story stinks. Curious, the nerd asks which class the blonde is in, thinking his boss wants an autograph. Walking surrounded by security, the prep almost never shows up at school and leaves quickly. Sitting in a fancy gamer chair, the influencer streams almost every day directly from the company's studio. Impressed, the redhead mentions the famous agency and confesses he'd drop out of school in a heartbeat if he were her. Coldly, the warrior concludes that trying to contact the blonde at school is a total waste of time. Sighing deeply, the protagonist says the group will have to come up with an alternative plan. With a sharp gaze, the freshman already starts scheming his next move. Settled on a park bench, the bunny YouTuber calmly checks her phone. Totally in shock, the pink-haired girl's eyes widen at the screen. Faced with the absurd number of 140,000 views, the video blows up on the trending list. Screaming with excitement, the girl celebrates that the stats are simply exploding. Like a ghost behind her, the new kid threatens to blow up the reporter's head too. Laughing nervously, the girl hears the hero demand payment for the image rights that were never authorized. Full of anger, the kid complains that he's become the internet's clown because of the video. Kneeling on the ground, the bunny desperately apologizes for the unauthorized post. Begging for her channel's life becomes her last tactic as she cries, saying the content finally hit the algorithm. Indignant, the hero yells that the lie has already spread to every corner of the web. Looking up, the reporter shamelessly asks what the problem is with it being a lie. Pointing to the malicious comments proves the girl's argument: the public doesn't want to know the truth. With pure conviction, the YouTuber yells that the internet crowd only cares about pure and shocking entertainment. Face to face, the duo argues in the middle of the park, discussing the limits of fame. Totally speechless, the student just stares at the girl's madness. With a long sigh, the new kid tries to process the level of ambition of that punk. Changing tactics, the pink-haired girl asks if the hero knows the famous entertainment agency. Excited, she compares the company to an elite university for content creators. Full of hope, the girl guarantees that getting in there is a stamped passport to absolute success. With her fist in the air, the YouTuber vows she'll sign the contract and rub her victory in everyone's face. To the reporter's surprise, the hero proposes an alliance for them to conquer the space together. With a focused gaze, the boy decrees that the plan now is to invade the agency from the inside. With the camera already rolling, the bunny girl starts the live stream, greeting the audience. Full of energy, the host announces the team's new stars to the public. Because of the ridiculous elephant hat, our protag appears with the worst expression in the world. In the middle of his smile for the lens, the red-haired upperclassman gets the nickname Slanted Eyes. With the same expression as always, the nerdy lackey is affectionately dubbed Broccoli Man. Focusing on a pair of cat ears, the camera maintains the suspense for the last participant. From the sway of her fake tail, the warrior reluctantly gets into character. Dressed as a kitty, the deceased sister crosses her arms, glaring at the camera with a deadly look. In a scream of excitement, the bunny officially announces the emergence of the Animal Farm squad. Furious with the humiliation, the cat threatens to take out the hero, questioning the sanity of that plan. Out of patience, the new kid retorts that he hates the embarrassment, but warns that it's the only sure way to find the culprit. Through teeth gritted with rage, the young woman silently endures the mental torture. Turning his face, the freshman asks why on earth the two lackeys decided to join the cringe fest. Full of blind loyalty, the nerd sucks up, saying that where the needle goes, the thread always follows. Between laughs, the big orange-haired guy confesses that the whole spectacle just looked like too much fun to miss. At the announcement of the first dance challenge, the reporter gets an immediate scream of refusal from the kitty. In the middle of the night, the arcade building flashes its colorful lights on the deserted street. Completely exhausted, the hero drags his feet, grumbling that the YouTuber life is way too tiring. Blocking the path, the security guard in the suit emerges from the shadows, announcing that the night isn't over. Totally lost, the new kid is summoned by the brute to follow him to the arcade. Face to face with a street punching machine, the duo stops in the middle of the sidewalk. Dryly, the giant tells the boy to punch the machine, and the hero retorts, asking why. With a firm bet, the guard promises to disappear for 2 days if the score exceeds 800 points. With the challenge accepted on the spot, the student cracks his knuckles and adjusts his posture. Curious about the excitement, the giant questions his plans but gets a quick "shut up." With his eyes closed, the hero remembers that the old king was the one who solved everything with brute force. In his memory, the brutal beast crushed his enemies, dishing out a merciless shower of blows. Facing his own hand, the new kid recognizes that the body responsible for the destruction was also his. Focusing on the bodily connection, the freshman summons the exact feeling of that lethal punch from the past. With a firm step on the asphalt, the leg base is set to concentrate all his weight into a single attack. Pulling his arm back, the energy travels to explode at a single point of contact. With a fist clenched with all his might, the weapon of destruction is finally ready. In a thunderous impact, the punch rips through the wind and sinks into the machine's bag. With wide eyes, the duo stares at the flashing display, awaiting the final result. At an absurd speed, the red numbers spin endlessly on the screen. With a dry click, the score hits an unbelievable 901 points. Excited, the kid thinks he's a monster, but the guard tells him to look at the top of the scoreboard. Looking up, the new kid's enthusiasm vanishes on the spot. Shocked by the machine's records, the hero can't believe the thousands of points scored there. By analyzing the screen, the boy notices that the display broke the visual limit of 3 digits. Pointing to the giant numbers, the suit explains that those records form the official ranking of the old gang. By the cruel math, the freshman feels the chasm of strength between him and the monsters of the past. Completely humiliated, the new kid feels like an ant next to the power of the former members. Mercilessly, the bodyguard decrees that the boy needs to gain 10 kilos of pure muscle by the time he hits 100,000 subscribers. Confused by the situation, our protag questions why his colleague takes the broadcast so seriously. Soon, the pink-haired YouTuber turns her head, facing her colleague with a stern expression. Dryly and directly, she replies that all of this is very real and important for her career. Quickly changing her tone, the girl decides to keep the mood light and announces the recording of a casual vlog. Behind her, the 2 boys follow her steps, not quite understanding the sudden change in mood. In disbelief at the proposal, the lackey with glasses repeats the word vlog, totally surprised. Suddenly, a heavy step echoes on the staircase, accompanied by a grumble of pure mockery. Soon, a foot appears, violently kicking the camera stand while the aggressor finds the equipment a joke. From the edge of the stairs, the hero and the reporter watch the cowardly attack in complete shock. Due to the force of the blow, the camera owner loses his balance and plummets backward with a violent crash. Rolling down the steps, the victim takes a nasty fall while a friend runs desperately, screaming for help. From the top of the stairs, the two brutes laugh and celebrate, recording the fall as a perfect clip. Taken over by indignation, the freshman clenches his fists and demands an explanation, yelling against the unprovoked aggression. Full of swagger, the thug in the beanie smiles sadistically and mocks the sound of his own attacks. To complete the provocation, his giant accomplice laughs at the fallen victim's face, detailing the damage. With the camera in hand, the aggressors introduce the duo's channel, boasting 50,000 subscribers on the platform. Sporting a disgusting smile, the giant announces that the two have arrived to record a collaboration. Glaring at the intruders, our protagonist and the bunny girl face the duo without a shred of fear. Face to face on the staircase, the atmosphere gets heavy, forming a veritable imminent battlefield. Yelling, the big guy invokes the street fight tags and calls the team to a direct confrontation. With gritted teeth, the hero just focuses on the scum, preparing his response. Without backing down, the new kid concludes that street fight content creators only show up to start trouble. Taking a step forward, the student accepts the challenge, translating the proposal as a declaration of war. Faced with the enemy's cynical smile, the hero says a regular fight is no fun. Kneeling near the injured guy, the freshman proposes a loser deletes their channel bet. Totally incredulous, the thug in the beanie turns to the camera, laughing at the cocky kid's audacity. Inside his own head, our protag desperately wonders where the king's ghost has gone. Taking a deep breath, the student gets up and focuses on solving the immediate problem, ignoring the absence of his invisible ally. Politely, the new kid asks for permission to take the injured person to the hospital, but the enemy blocks the path, calling him a coward. Blocked by the thug, the kid stops in his tracks and freezes in the middle of the step. Witty and defiant, the nerdy lackey curses the thugs, warning them that they picked a fight with the wrong guy. To apply pressure, the chubby guy lists the hero's titles, recalling his victory in the Losers' War. Pointing his finger with pride, the goon announces the freshman as the legendary elephant and the new boss of the school. Blinded by fanaticism, the nerd yells, demanding that the great leader mercilessly crush the invading duo. Caught off guard by his own ally, the protag's face darkens, dying of embarrassment from the exaggerated praise. Excited by the brawl, the thug in the beanie accepts the challenge and seals the official delete account, Bet Live. Stuttering and waving his hands, the hero tries to cancel the bet, remembering that the channel doesn't even belong to him. In an authoritative tone, the pink-haired YouTuber touches the boy and tells him to accept the fight. Shocked by the permission, the freshman's eyes widen, not understanding his partner's madness. Seething with rage, the girl swears she won't forgive trash soiling the internet and entrusts the victory to the elephant. Seeing no way out, the student just sighs and accepts his own cursed fate. On the broadcast screen, the title of the Mortal Kombat flashes, announcing the war between the two channels with no chance of retreat. Excited, the allied duo sends good vibes, rooting for their leader to smash the bullies' faces. Discouraged by the responsibility, the new kid faces his partners, asking why everything falls on his shoulders. Soon, the screen splits, showing the start of the confrontation, and the chat boils with the promise of pure fisticuffs. In a swift impact, the fight explodes with a surprise attack crossing the air. With a cheap shot, the thug in the beanie lands a direct punch, questioning the supposed boss's skills. Full of sadism, the villain smiles, challenging the true power of the demonic school's new star. Taking the blow on his arm, our hero grumbles that all those exaggerated titles are pure fiction. Cutting off the whining, the thug tells the freshman to shut his trap and eat the next attack. Preparing a brutal cross, the aggressor advances, roaring for the victim to just drop. From the crushing force of the punch, the new kid's face is hit square on, opening the way for a clean knockout. With his head thrown to the side, the victim feels the explosion of the punch on his jaw. His face turned again, the hero returns to his stance, glaring at the enemy with an icy look. Retreating calmly, the student rubs his cheek, complaining about the pain of the impact. Immediately, the live stream comments go wild with shock, noting that the boy took a jawbreaker without falling. Confused by the absurd resistance, the aggressor freezes in place, not understanding what went wrong. Rubbing his face, the protagonist confesses that the blow hurt, but finds it strange that he didn't get knocked out on the spot. Soon, his memory pulls up the intensive training, proving that the physical sacrifice was worth it. In flashbacks, the big security guard taught the boy to tense his neck muscles to absorb any impact. Clenching his fist with malice, the thug returns to the attack without giving the hero time to breathe. In a shower of heavy blows, the thug repeatedly hits the freshman's head. Taking punishment from all sides, the kid protects his face, enduring the merciless pain. Focused on learning, our protag repeats the mental lesson that most blows lose their force with the right technique. And during the storm of punches, the new kid plants his feet, proving that the iron defense really works. Without retreating a single millimeter, the student maintains his posture intact. At the edge of the improvised arena, the nerd cheers with excitement, ordering his boss to start hitting back. Assuming an attack stance, the hero raises his guard, ready to retaliate. Suddenly, a bucket of cold water is thrown on the boy's mind, revealing the plan's major flaw. Face to face with the enemy, the kid realizes with terror that he has no clue how to actually attack someone properly. Laughing at the hero's terrified face, the villain praises his resistance but charges with everything he's got. In the broadcast chat, the crowd tears the hero apart, pointing out that he only knows how to take a beating and never attacks. Desperate with the massacre, the bunny girl yells, demanding that the elephant do something urgently. Spitting blood from the impact, the protagonist tries to gather his thoughts in the middle of the whirlwind of punches. In a moment of clarity, the freshman finally positions his leg and finds a brilliant way out in the middle of his desperation. Confused by the situation, our protag questions why his colleague takes the broadcast so seriously. Soon, the pink-haired YouTuber turns her head, facing the boy with a stern expression. Dryly and directly, she replies that all of this is very real and vital for her career. Quickly changing her tone, the girl decides to keep the mood light and announces the recording of a casual vlog. Behind her, the allied duo follows her steps, not quite understanding the sudden change in mood. In disbelief at the proposal, the lackey with glasses repeats the word vlog, totally surprised. Suddenly, a heavy step echoes on the staircase, accompanied by a grumble of pure mockery. Immediately, a boot appears, violently kicking the camera stand while the aggressor finds the equipment a joke. From the edge of the stairs, the hero and the reporter watch the cowardly attack in complete shock. Due to the force of the blow, the camera owner loses his balance and plummets backward with a violent crash. Rolling down the steps, the victim takes a nasty fall while a friend runs desperately, screaming for help. From the top of the stairs, the two brutes laugh and celebrate, recording the fall as a perfect clip. Taken over by indignation, the freshman clenches his fists and demands an explanation, yelling against the unprovoked aggression. Full of swagger, the thug in the beanie smiles sadistically and mocks the sound of his own attacks. To complete the provocation, his giant accomplice laughs at the fallen victim's face, detailing the damage. With the camera in hand, the aggressors introduce the duo's channel, boasting 50,000 subscribers on the platform. Displaying a disgusting smile, the giant announces that the two have arrived to record a forced collaboration. Glaring at the intruders, our protagonist and the bunny girl face the duo without a shred of fear. Face to face on the staircase, the atmosphere gets heavy, forming a veritable imminent battlefield. Yelling, the big guy invokes the street fight tags and calls the team to a direct confrontation. With gritted teeth, the hero just focuses on the scum, preparing his response. Without backing down, the new kid concludes that street fight content creators only show up to start trouble. Taking a step forward, the student accepts the challenge, translating the proposal as a declaration of war. Faced with the enemy's cynical smile, the hero says a regular fight is no fun. Kneeling near the injured guy, the freshman proposes a loser deletes their channel bet. Totally incredulous, the thug in the beanie turns to the camera, laughing at the cocky kid's audacity. Inside his own head, our protag desperately wonders where the king's ghost has gone. Taking a deep breath, the student gets up and focuses on solving the immediate problem, ignoring the absence of his invisible ally. Politely, the new kid asks for permission to take the injured person to the hospital, but the enemy blocks the path, calling the kid a coward. Blocked by the thug, the hero stops in his tracks and freezes in the middle of the step. Witty and defiant, the nerdy lackey curses the thugs, warning them that they picked a fight with the wrong guy. To apply pressure, the chubby guy lists the hero's titles, recalling his victory in the Losers' War. Pointing his finger with pride, the goon announces the freshman as the legendary elephant and the new boss of the school. Blinded by fanaticism, the nerd yells, demanding that the great leader mercilessly crush the invading duo. Caught off guard by his own ally, the protag's face darkens, dying of embarrassment from the exaggerated praise. Excited by the brawl, the thug in the beanie accepts the challenge and seals the official delete account bet live. Stuttering and waving his hands, the hero tries to cancel the bet, remembering that the channel doesn't even belong to him. In an authoritative tone, the pink-haired YouTuber touches the boy and tells the team to accept the fight. Shocked by the permission, the freshman's eyes widen, not understanding his partner's madness. Seething with rage, the girl swears she won't forgive trash soiling the internet and entrusts the victory to the elephant. Seeing no way out, the student just sighs and accepts his own cursed fate. On the broadcast screen, the title of the Mortal Kombat flashes, announcing the war between the two channels with no chance of retreat. Excited, the allied duo sends good vibes, rooting for their leader to smash the bullies' faces. Discouraged by the responsibility, the new kid faces his partners, asking why everything falls on his shoulders. Soon, the screen splits, showing the start of the confrontation, and the chat boils with the promise of pure fisticuffs. In a swift impact, the fight explodes with a surprise attack crossing the air. With a cheap shot, the thug in the beanie lands a direct punch, questioning the supposed boss's skills. Full of sadism, the villain smiles, challenging the true power of the demonic school's new star. Taking the blow on his arm, our hero grumbles that all those exaggerated titles are pure fiction. Cutting off the whining, the thug tells the freshman to shut his trap and eat the next attack. Preparing a brutal cross, the aggressor advances, roaring for the victim to just drop. From the crushing force of the punch, the new kid's face is hit square on, opening the way for a clean knockout. With his head thrown to the side, the victim feels the explosion of the punch on his jaw. His face turned again, the hero returns to his stance, glaring at the enemy with an icy look. Retreating calmly, the student rubs his cheek, complaining about the pain of the impact. Immediately, the livestream comments go wild with shock, noting that the boy took a jawbreaker without falling. Confused by the absurd resistance, the aggressor freezes in place, not understanding what went wrong. Rubbing his face, the protagonist confesses that the blow hurt but finds it strange that he didn't get knocked out on the spot. Soon, his memory pulls up the intensive training, proving that the physical sacrifice was worth it. In flashbacks, the big security guard taught the boy to tense his neck muscles to absorb any impact. Clenching his fist with malice, the thug returns to the attack without giving the hero time to breathe. In a shower of heavy blows, the thug repeatedly hits the freshman's head. Receiving punishment from all sides, the kid protects his face, enduring the merciless pain. Focused on learning, our protag repeats the mental lesson that most blows lose their force with the right technique. Enduring the storm of punches, the new kid plants his feet, proving that the iron defense really works. Without retreating a single millimeter, the student maintains his posture intact under pressure. At the edge of the improvised arena, the nerd cheers with excitement, ordering his boss to start hitting back. Assuming an attack stance, the hero raises his guard, ready to retaliate. Suddenly, a bucket of cold water is thrown on the boy's mind, revealing the plan's major flaw. Face to face with the enemy, the kid realizes with terror that he has no clue how to actually attack someone properly. Laughing at the hero's terrified face, the villain praises his resistance but charges with everything he's got. In the broadcast chat, the crowd tears the hero apart, pointing out that the fighter only knows how to take a beating and never attacks. Desperate with the massacre, the bunny girl yells, demanding that the elephant do something urgently, spitting blood from the impact. The protagonist tries to gather his thoughts in the middle of the whirlwind of punches. In a moment of clarity, the freshman finally positions his leg and finds a brilliant way out in the middle of his desperation. Showing off the giant space, the girl presents the recording set to the crew. Totally impressed with the structure, the team walks through the hallway crowded with studios. Faced with extreme luxury, the allied duo is left speechless, looking like fools. Right in the middle of the path, our protag and his nerdy lackey freeze in place. Face to face with the entrance, the World of Mimi sign catches all the attention. Guarding the door, two brutes in dark glasses block the passage. Staring at the security guards, the freshman realizes it won't be easy to get past them. To buy time, the kid quickly makes up an excuse that he urgently needs to use the bathroom. Calm about the situation, the bunny reporter dismisses the boy to sign the contract quickly. With a mischievous smile, the red-haired partner says this is the perfect opening for the invasion. Inside the studio, the new kid notices that the prep practically lives in her gamer chair. Recalling the heavy security, the upperclassman asks what the brilliant plan will be. With a sharp gaze, our protag already has the crazy idea shining in his head. Glaring at the next room, the boy urgently looks for a way out down the hall. Suddenly, the sound of metal wheels attracts the hero's attention to a medical cart. Bearing the way, the security guards warn that only authorized personnel can cross the door. At that moment, a bizarre figure in a dress appears with her head down in front of them. Wearing a maid's outfit and with his arm in a cast, our protag pulls off the humiliating disguise. Completely stunned, the guards freeze, staring at the bizarre sight without saying anything. Seething with rage, the hero holds back his attitude so as not to ruin the infiltration plan. Without a second thought, the brutes tell the weird guest to get in quickly. Full of disgust, the guard grumbles that the disguised freshman is too creepy to look at. Once in the hallway, the upperclassman suggests beating everyone up, gets an immediate scolding from the new kid. Face to face with the double doors, the student takes a deep breath, swallowing his pride. Snorting with pure rage, the kid accepts the embarrassment in that short dress. With full force, the boy grabs the door knob and unlocks the main studio. Immediately, the blonde prep greets the group with screams of joy at the wide, open door. Grabbing the little bunny, the famous girl announces the special participation directly to the lens. Impressed by the live stream's energy, the goons freeze in the back of the room. Totally lost, the pink-haired newcomer says she thought it was just a private meeting. With a cynical smile, the influencer decrees that this is a very special day. Soon, an assistant appears, handing a mysterious clipboard into the newcomer's hands. Right on the paper, the document proves to be an official internet agency contract. Focused on the audience, the prep swears she only turned on the camera to show this signing. Displaying a velvet box, a luxurious pen shines for the public. To make the act perfect, the blonde lies, saying she wants to register her new family. Pressured by the fame, the little bunny's eyes widen, completely speechless. Handing over the expensive pen, the YouTuber forces the signature live and in color. In the middle of her shock, the newcomer freezes, staring at her cruel fate on the paper. With a quick scribble, the metal tip officially seals the deal with no turning back. Due to the camera flash, the photo marks the partnership forever on the internet. Cutting the cute mood, the prep yells for the end of the recording with a dry snap. Hurriedly pulling the document, the assistant snatches the contract from the girl's hands. Turning her back, the influencer bails, saying she has a super busy schedule. Completely ignored, the crew is left standing in the middle of the empty studio. Holding the gift, the little bunny tries to process the hurricane that just passed through. Traumatized in the dress, the freshman remains with his mouth open, dying on the inside. Observing the luxurious studio, the red-haired upperclassman yells, shocked by so much scattered wealth. Impressed by the luxury, the ally asks if it's a store while the hero seethes with rage. Red with embarrassment, the student fumes, feeling the shame destroy his own ego. Leaning on the table, the kid confesses that he feels like pathetic trash in this ridiculous outfit. Soon, a dry sound of high heels catches the humiliated hero's attention. Stomping hard on the floor, the black boots march, exuding pure power and intimidation. Crossing the dark hallway, the shadow advances straight for the mirrored double doors. Kicking the door in, the blonde prep invades the room with a less than friendly face, ready for a fight.